Chapter 2035. Fighting for the 9 magical characters. Wang Jian, Zhuo Qing, and the others' geniuses looked desperate. They were furious at the cultivators of the Qin dynasty. Now, the Tianxi dynasty would take care of Lin Feng, which meant they wouldn't be able to do anything anymore. They could only forget about Lin Feng's precious treasures. They were all determined people. So when they saw they couldn't obtain Lin Feng's treasures anymore, they went back to the historical remains. The chained cultivators had already calmed down. Lin Feng had managed to find saints' treasures, so they could probably do the same, especially since there were many saints in the old days. There weren't just 2 saints, there were many others, and maybe that they could find other saints' historical remains. Not just the members of the Tianxi dynasty, other people also thought it was a pity that Prince Yan had died, but all in all, people didn't really care. Prince Yan was extremely strong, but Lin Feng had studied an incredible ancient technique which could oppress the earth and sky. He had crushed Prince Yan alive. They wanted to find their own historical remains even more. The holy emperors were still arguing over Saint Tianhun. As all this was going on, 3 people arrived in an ice world. That ice world was hidden under the ground. There was a small path in a valley which leading here, Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin had found the place accidentally, after Lin Feng had been chased far away. Meng Qing, Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin had separated. In the historical remains, Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin encountered Chu Chunqiu. Chu Chunqiu had attacked Ho Qing Lin once, therefore he didn't mind attacking him a second time. Besides, he also wanted to attack Lang Yi, who had rescued Ho Qing Lin the previous time. Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin, if they joined hands, were extremely dangerous. However, Chu Chunqiu was sly. Chu Chunqiu had managed to win against Ying Qing before he had broken through to the Di Qi layer. Now, Chu Chunqiu was one of the strongest geniuses you could find in the region. He chased them for a while and the 2 cultivators accidentally ended up there. They could see a chained cultivator in the ice world. At that moment, Lang Yi, Ho Qing Lin and Chu Chunqiu were shivering because of the cold and starting to freeze. They kept releasing powerful energies to protect themselves. As they ran forwards, the sensation was getting worse. It was more and more difficult to move forwards. Chu Chunqiu, if you attack us again, we don't mind freezing to death here with you. We'll see if anyone is lucky enough to escape, declared Lang Yi icily. Chu Chunqiu glanced at Ho Qing Lin and Lang Yi aggressively and then gazed into the distance. He looked determined. Around the 3 cultivators, there were many human silhouettes, however, they were all frozen corpses. Some people's eyes were still open. From the look in their eyes, one could guess that they had begged for their lives before dying. Those people had died 100 years before, or 200, or even more for some of them. Being able to come to the historical remains was a good opportunity, but those people had been unlucky. In front of them, there was a gigantic silhouette in chains. The man within looked as sharp as a sword. His eyes were terrifying. He looked at the 3 people mockingly. Every 100 years, some people came and in the end they died. Even though he didn't look happy, he was actually happy to see people. Chu Chunqiu and the 2 others noticed that that person was looking at them as if they were interesting little insects, but they didn't mind. They even continued running forwards. If they were careless, that cultivator could probably kill them, but they didn't give up. In front of the gigantic chained cultivator, there was a word carved in the snow. Each letter contained a terrifying strength. As long as those letters were there, the ice chi of this area couldn't expand. Even though many years had passed, the letters still contained a terrifying strength. If they managed to grab those words, they'd obtain that incredible strength. Chu Chunqiu and the 2 others struggled to move forwards when they saw those letters. They wanted them. 7 more steps and we'll be there. Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin were moving shoulder to shoulder. Chu Chunqiu had made 1 step more than them. He had 6 more steps to go, but it was extremely difficult. A saint carved those letters using his life. If you manage to get them, you'll obtain that spirit and marrow strength, said the chained cultivator calmly. He was trying to tempt them even more. Many geniuses had died when only 7 steps were left. The corpses around them were the proof. Sometimes, people managed to make it almost to the end, 1 step was left, and then they died. Chu Chunqiu was extremely determined. At that moment, he looked like a blinding sun. He had an aura of will around him. The ice around him started breaking. Nothing could prevent him from doing what he wanted. The letters contained a terrifying strength. That strength was very useful for all of them. They really wanted it. Chu Chunqiu took another step. The ground crackled. Lang Yi was releasing world lights, which absorbed the ice and kept him relatively warm at the same time. Ho Qinglin was surrounded by reincarnation lights. His sword kept cutting through the ice around him. The three people continued walking forwards. They were drawing ever closer to the letters. Chu Chunqiu was 2 steps away and stopped in the face of the terrifying pressure. Lang Yi and Ho Qinglin were 4 steps away from the letters. Their souls and veins seemed like they were going to freeze. If they weren't careful, they could die. Many geniuses had missed opportunities in that world. Maybe they would miss a great opportunity here. Lang Yi, he'll arrive before us. I will condense my full strength to open the way for you. When you obtain the incantation, protect us with your world coffin, Ho Qinglin said to Lang Yi. Isn't it too dangerous? If I obtain the incantation and something unexpected happens, it could get dangerous. Sometimes we have to take risks. When Lang Yi heard that, his heart twitched and he said to Ho Qinglin telepathically, all right, since you want to try and gamble, let's do it. At that moment, Chu Chunqiu had the will of a king. An ancient king had appeared at his back. One more step and he'd be 1 step away from the incantation. The chained cultivator was amused as he looked on. At the same time, Ho Qinglin and Lang Yi ground their teeth and continued walking forwards. They were 3 steps away. Chu Chunqiu looked crazed and kept shouting furiously. His hair was fluttering in the wind. He really considered himself a king. Ho Qinglin and Lang Yi took another step forward. Ho Qinglin released terrifying reincarnation sword energies which could absorb anything. A strong wind started blowing, and the ice around them broke apart. Ho Qinglin kept releasing energies to open the way for Lang Yi and make things easier for him so Lang Yi could move easier. They were catching up with Chu Chunqiu, 1 more step. But Chu Chunqiu started his last step. Arg! Lang Yi shouted furiously. World lights dashed to the skies. The space around them became distorted. Chu Chunqiu was only half a step away from the letters, and at the same time, Ho Qinglin's body froze and he turned into a statue. Die! Chu Chunqiu shouted furiously and released energies towards Lang Yi. However, Lang Yi released hand imprints which moved towards the letters, like he wanted to destroy everything. Crackling sounds spread in the air. The letters were drawn towards Ho Qinglin and penetrated into him. As they did so, Chu Chunqiu was hurled away as blood splashed. Lang Yi moved again. 9 lights appeared around him. He walked up beside Ho Qinglin and broke the ice around him. Then his world coffin appeared and he took Ho Qinglin away. If he had used the world coffin before, it would have been easier to move forwards, but getting out of the coffin right before the letters could have been extremely dangerous. The ice strength could have crashed down and killed him. You 3 are interesting, said the chained cultivator indifferently. Chu Chunqiu shouted furiously, Lang Yi, Ho Qinglin, I will kill you. Lang Yi had taken the incantation even though he had almost reached it, and now he was even injured. What a humiliation! He had to absorb their wills. Chapter 2036. Helping each other, Lang Yi and Ho Qinglin quickly fled the historical remains. Ho Qinglin was still surrounded by ice energies and he was shaking violently. He had used his full strength to help Lang Yi. His body and soul had both been injured. How do you feel? Asked Lang Yi to Ho Qinglin. I'm all right. If we had stayed there for a few more minutes, I would have died, said Ho Qinglin. He shivered uncontrollably. We succeeded though, we obtained the incantation. The spirit and marrow strength is also in my body. I'm afraid I can't transmit it to you though, said Lang Yi, frowning. He could sense that the spirit and marrow strength could be transmitted by saints to other people. He had the sensation he couldn't pass it on, not able to copy the incantation perfectly and then paste it onto Ho Qinglin's memories. Just transmit as much as you can, said Ho Qinglin smiled. They had taken it. It was better than if Chu Chunqiu had obtained it. Chu Chunqiu was dangerous. And with the spirit and marrow strength, he would have become even stronger. There were still many strong cultivators in the historical remains. Many other powerful groups from Qitian Holy Town had heard about what was going on, so they had hurried inside. The saints' world was open, why not come and benefit from it? Lin Feng was already in the Holy Spirit dynasty. Knowing he had received the legacy of the Holy Spirit dynasty's saint and the Qin dynasty's saint, many people envied him. Holy Dynasty Prince, said a strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit dynasty to Lin Feng, we chose a beautiful woman for you. She is extremely beautiful, her qi is incredible, and she is very talented. We hope you can give her a child as soon as possible. Lin Feng was stunned. They really were in a hurry. I know that my wife is on her way to the Holy Spirit dynasty, wait for her and we'll talk about that, said Lin Feng. The man nodded, not daring to threaten anything. He said, all right, I can first take you to her so you can meet. Next time, you can go alone. No need for us to lead the way. Lin Feng remained silent. The guide wanted to do that for him so as not to be embarrassed. It would be strange to have someone lead the way to a room for you to have sex with a woman to make her pregnant. All right, Lin Feng sighed and nodded. Holy Dynasty Prince, please come with me, said that old man to Lin Feng. They left together. Lin Feng followed the old man and they soon arrived in a courtyard. There was a building there, but the old man didn't enter the room. Holy Dynasty Prince, she's in there. She has a strange temper, however. It's difficult to get close to her, but since she accepted, there won't be any problem. If you agree then, you know what I mean, I don't need to explain those things to you, said the old man, laughing. Then, standing before the door, he said, Princely concubine, the Holy Dynasty Prince is here to see you. After that, the old man quickly left. Lin Feng looked at the door and sighed. What kind of girl had accepted the Holy Spirit dynasty's request? For the girl, it was probably a nightmare. A strange qi emerged. Lin Feng opened that door and slowly entered the room. It smelled good in the room. Lin Feng slowly walked forwards, spotting the back of a woman out on a small terrace, the sun shining upon her. She didn't turn around when Lin Feng entered the room. She looked beautiful but was wearing a black cloak. She had voluptuous breasts, but it was difficult to see the rest of her body because of the cloak. Lin Feng was standing there and remained silent. He didn't know what to say. What could he say in such circumstances? After a long time, Lin Feng sighed and said, I know the Holy Spirit dynasty really hopes it will happen. However, if you choose otherwise, I can ask them to pick someone else. The girl remained silent and shook her head. Lin Feng said, Is it because you're happy to give descendants to the dynasty? The woman shook her head again. Then she said, Being the mother of a future holy emperor of the dynasty is a beautiful thing, isn't it? Lin Feng was speechless. She wasn't talking nonsense. Indeed, their children would maybe become holy emperors. How many people had such opportunities? Her voice sounded hoarse though. Was it her real voice? She also sounded a bit gentle. Lin Feng guessed that she was hiding her real voice. Lin Feng didn't know what to say anymore, so he remained silent again. Now, said the girl calmly. Lin Feng knew what she meant. No, I just came to see you. Not now. I'll come back to you, said Lin Feng, then he turned around and left. The girl turned around hastily at his words. She was very beautiful actually, with particularly beautiful eyes. She was wearing a veil, however. She had turned around quickly, but Lin Feng had already disappeared. After a long time, she finally smiled. With the sun shining upon her, she looked stunning. Of course I agree. Not only because our child will be a future holy emperor, but because it will be yours too. The woman said gently. Lin Feng did not hear her, however. Lin Feng had already contacted Meng Qing using his jade talisman. She soon arrived in the Holy Spirit dynasty. After that, Lang Yi, Ho Qing Lin, and Jian Mang also came to the Holy Spirit dynasty. Are you all right? Lin Feng asked Lang Yi and the others. Yes, we were lucky, we found an incantation, Lang Yi smiled. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. He hadn't thought Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin would find anything. I don't think it was made by a saint, I think it comes from ancient Buddhist scriptures. I understand the incantation quite well. It's become part of my strength. I obtained spirit and marrow strength through it. I can't transmit the details to you, so you'd have to study it on your own. Lin Feng nodded. He had obtained 2 holy techniques. If he obtained the spirit and marrow strength, that would be even more. Spells changed over time because saints only transmitted the rudiments of their spells, and people who received them had to be smart to understand and adapt them. Because of my connection to the Holy Spirit Dynasty, I can't really transmit the Holy Spirit Dynasty's technique to you, and besides, it wouldn't be useful for you. It's better for me. However, I will transmit the ancient holy techniques of the Qin dynasty to you. Even if you understand only a tiny part of them, you'll become much stronger, or in any case, it won't do you any harm, said Lin Feng. He didn't mind transmitting techniques, skills, and spells to his friends. He had to create his own spells to transcend worldliness and attain holiness anyway. He had to surpass himself someday. High-level and talented cultivators didn't need to waste too much time studying spells. Lin Feng and the others were helping each other study. The incantation represented an extensive knowledge and profound scholarship. There were 9 words: temporary, for determination, firm and tenacious, Madra unity, determination of ancient characters, impermanence; weapon, for capabilities, indestructibility, Madra unity, determination of ancient characters, ever-conquering; battle, for battle determination, resonance of the earth and sky, Madra unity, determination of ancient characters, destruction of the earth and sky. Each word had a meaning and contained spirit and marrow strength. Unfortunately, Lin Feng hadn't obtained it from a saint. He only had the rudiments. However, he knew that saints' techniques were all terrifying. That incantation would be perfect for our Buddhist fellow disciples. Ho Ching Lin smiled. Indeed. Tiantai's core disciples should obtain holy techniques. That way, Tiantai will become awesome, Lin Feng nodded. When Lang Yi heard Lin Feng, he was surprised. Lin Feng wanted to create such a powerful group. Chapter 2037. Tao destroying mountains. Since the saints' world was now accessible, people in Qi Tian Holy Town couldn't keep calm. Many people from all over the Dark Night region headed to Qi Tian Holy Town. People also quickly found out that there were chained cultivators there who were stronger than the saints, and the news spread quickly throughout the region. The news even spread in some other regions of the continent of the 9 clouds. Many people wanted to steal things from Lin Feng, but he had a complex background, and he didn't come out of the Holy Spirit dynasty. The public slowly started forgetting about him. No dynasty dared attack Lin Feng, either. Nobody could compete with Shizhu Lao Xian watching over him. Even Champion University couldn't be offended anymore. Lin Feng didn't come out of the Holy Spirit dynasty for a simple reason. He was busy practicing cultivation and becoming stronger. Lang Yi, Ho Ching Lin, and Jian Meng headed back to the Holy City. Only Lin Feng and Meng Qing stayed in the Holy Spirit dynasty. During those days, Lin Feng continued meditating in seclusion. Even the Holy Spirit dynasty didn't know what he was doing. Even though they really wanted him to give them a child, they didn't put pressure on him. Lin Feng was in the Holy Spirit dynasty, which was a sign he was not going to forget his promise, anyway. Lin Feng was in a peaceful and quiet courtyard, within his spirit world. His family members were all there. Meng Qing, don't stay with Lin Feng too much, it influences his cultivation. We can share a bedroom, said Yu Meng He, touching Meng Qing's tummy. She was smiling like a young woman in spite of her age. After Lin Wushang had left, Yu Meng He had started feeling lonely again. Lin Feng and Meng Qing were finally going to have a baby, so she was going to be able to care of a baby again at last. Mother, don't forget me, Lin Feng smiled wryly. Meng Qing beamed and looked at Lin Feng and Yu Meng He. She felt extremely happy. Finally, they were going to have a baby. I'll take care of Meng Qing. You can stay with Fei Fei, and even give her a child too, said Yu Meng He, looking at Lu Fei who was standing next to her. Lu Fei went red instantly. She wasn't that talented in terms of cultivation. She was worried that if Lin Feng and she had a child, the baby wouldn't be talented enough. Mother, you're right. Fei Fei and I should also have a child, said Lin Feng, putting his arm around Lu Fei's waist and smiling. Lu Fei blushed even more and put her head on his shoulder. In the future, our child will be the general of this small world, just like Feifei's father was the general of Shuiyu, said Lin Feng with a smile. His small world kept becoming better. Outside of Shuiyu, he had built many countries. Progressively, there were more and more interesting sights and things to see. He would also leave some historical remains at some point. And you Xian, don't forget about her, said Yu Menghe to Lin Feng. Yes, I know, said Lin Feng nodding. When do you intend to go and find Xinyi? I'm not strong enough yet. Unless Xinyi takes the initiative to come out, I have no choice but to wait. I'll have to become stronger first, said Lin Feng. He didn't know how to explain, but Xinyi had probably gone to the Moon Palace, and the Moon Palace was a terrifying place. All right, as long as you don't forget about her. Meng Qing, Feifei, Xinyi, and Yu Xian are all my daughters-in-law. I don't want any of them to have a problem. Little Lin Feng, I can't help you with cultivation though, you must continue making great efforts, Yu Menghe to her son. She knew that she was already extremely weak compared to her son. She didn't even know how strong he truly was. I know, Lin Feng nodded. He looked at Meng Qing and smiled. Meng Qing, be careful. I'm going to go and see Yu Xing. All right, replied Meng Qing. She was thinking that Lin Feng was making a fuss about nothing. She wasn't a weakling, she was strong, but of course, she was also happy that Lin Feng cared about her. Lin Feng quickly arrived where Yu Xian was staying. She stayed there every day. The emotionlessness strength was too powerful and could burst out at any time. Yu Xian. Lin Feng called out, walking up to her. Yu Xian raised her head. 6 months had passed. She looked wan and sallow. Lin Feng, I want to go to the Tao-destroying mountain, said Yu Xian, smiling at Lin Feng. She stood up, looking extremely beautiful and determined. Tao-destroying mountain. Lin Feng frowned. That place was an ancient site, a forbidden area for many cultivators. It was a place where it was possible to destroy one's Tao. If a cultivator went there, their Tao had to break. It was how it got the name. Any cultivator would have been terror-stricken to go there. Are you sure you want to go there? Asked Lin Feng, looking at Yu Xian solemnly. He didn't know whether there would be serious consequences. Yes, said Yu Xian smiled. I don't want to be stuck because of emotionlessness Tao. I don't mind becoming an ordinary person again. Lin Feng remained silent for a while and stared at her. Then he nodded and said, All right, I'll bring you there to destroy your emotionlessness Tao. Lin Feng left his spirit world and flew towards the exit of the Holy Spirit dynasty. On the way, he said to an old man, I'm going out, I have something to do. When I come back, I'll go and see that concubine. No problem, go, the old man nodded. He didn't chase after Lin Feng or ask probing questions. Tao-destroying mountain was a mountain in Qitian Holy Town where nobody dared go. Winters were extremely cold there, and there were few people in the surroundings. Cultivators did all they could to learn how to control their Tao. Why would they risk breaking their Tao? Nobody wanted to do that. But now, someone was heading there to do exactly that. Lin Feng and Yu Xian were in the sky near the Tao-destroying mountain. There were 3 connected peaks before them. If a cultivator walked them, their Tao could break. Lin Feng, I'm going, said Yu Xian, smiling at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, who was firmly holding her hand, let go of her reluctantly. Yu Xian smiled brilliantly. She slowly walked forwards, letting go of him as well. She hadn't smiled that way in a very long time. Yu Xian, if there's any problems, come out, said Lin Feng, worried for her. His boat was behind him, and he was staying outside the mountains. Yu Xian's silhouette flickered. She slowly flew towards the mountain. She took a deep breath, still smiling. She stopped for a few seconds and then she continued flying towards the mountains. At that moment, Lin Feng sensed a particular strength isolate him from Yu Xian. Yu Xian coughed up some blood. Lin Feng was shaking with pain. Yu Xian didn't shout, she endured the pain. She was propelled into the sky and blood gushed out of her eyes and nose. Her clothes were even torn apart. It was frightening to see. Even though she didn't shout, Lin Feng was clenching his fists so tight that his fingernails pierced through the palms of his hand and made him bleed with grief. Having to break one's Tao was one of the worst things which could happen to a cultivator. Qiu Yu Xian was attacked a few times. However, she stood up again. Lin Feng didn't know what was going on with her. However, at that moment, demon energies started surrounding him. He wanted to go and rescue her. Qiu Yu Xian's eyes rolled. Blood kept dripping her. However, she was still smiling brilliantly, trying to tell Lin Feng she was fine. She didn't want him to worry about her. People who went to the Tao-destroying mountain and remained calm like Qiu Yu Xian were extremely rare. She had come to break her emotionlessness Tao. She was enduring it, she was fighting against herself. Lin Feng made a step and then stopped. Demon energies crackled. The air was humming. Qiu Yu Xian was still being attacked. Lin Feng didn't know how terrifying the strength attacking her was. Demon energies continued condensing around him, but he didn't realize it. Devamara Kulpa's strength glittered in the sky. Lin Feng raised his head and saw Devamara Kulpa's strength descend from the sky and assault him. He remained ice-cold, like a real demon, standing fast and completely motionless. He slowly turned around and looked at Qiu Yu Xian again. Demon lights continued coming down and cleansing his body. He didn't frown. His woman was suffering more than him. Qiu Yu Xian turned around. She was floating in the air. She looked powerless and weak. She felt lucky. Nothing could prevent her from being with Lin Feng in this world. Lin Feng felt extremely sad for her. He ran forwards. He wanted to jump into the Tao-destroying mountain, but at that moment, the mysterious strength filled the air, but in a different way. Lin Feng was startled. The strength penetrated into her body again and suddenly, her face was filled with vitality and vigor once again. Lin Feng gaped. Qiu Yu Xian was shocked too. Tao's strength emerged from her body and filled the air about her. Emotionlessness was about emotions. If emotionlessness was destroyed, it was to have more emotions. Chapter 2038. Strange story. When Qiu Yu Xian came out of the Tao-destroying mountain, she looked serene. She looked like a caring and loving woman, as if her heart had been filled with love. She was smiling resplendently and looked extremely beautiful. Lin Feng's demonic intent disappeared. He walked forwards and hugged Qiu Yu Xian. He felt relieved and took a deep breath, thinking, good, good. Qiu Yu Xian felt Lin Feng's warmth and put her head on his shoulder. She had no emotionlessness strength anymore. Her heart was filled with love. So if you don't believe the Tao-destroying mountain can destroy your Tao, then your Tao must break. But if you come here with the purpose of breaking your Tao, then it destroys it and then helps you, whispered Qiu Yu Xian. Lin Feng smiled. The Tao-destroying mountain was an ancient mountain. It could destroy Tao, but its main purpose wasn't to destroy Tao, it was to allow cultivators to start a new life, on a new path. It allowed people to find their true path. Let's go back, said Lin Feng. He was very happy. Qiu Yu Xian had broken her emotionlessness Tao and now she had emotions again. In the meantime, Lin Feng had just become a high-level emperor. He was in a very good mood. Qiu Yu Xian was back, she was really back. The two jumped onto the boat and sat down cross-legged. Qiu Yu Xian looked happy and at peace. She enjoyed the landscapes sweeping by underneath them. She wanted to travel across the world with him like that. Lin Feng went back to the Holy Spirit Dynasty. He took Qiu Yu Xian to Shuiyu into his spirit world, and she spent some days with his family. Lin Feng took care of Meng Qing, Qiu Yu Xian, and Lu Fei, spending some pleasant days with them. However, at that moment, a beautiful yet ice-cold woman was traveling to Qi Tian Holy Town. She was radiating a powerful qi. It was rainy and windy in Qi Tian Holy Town. There were great battles everywhere. Strong cultivators kept falling from the sky. Even great emperors were dying. The passage between the historical remains and the city was open. So many strong cultivators had come, and real historical remains had also appeared. All this had nothing to do with Lin Feng anymore, though. He had obtained enough from the saints, even the incantation. Even though it didn't have the spirit and marrow strength, he could use the celestial evolution holy scriptures on the incantation. It would help him understand it and make it stronger. Lin Feng was very smart. He knew what he had to do to become stronger. He also knew he needed to rest sometimes. Spending days resting wasn't a waste for his cultivation, as he never forgot about cultivation anyway. Lin Feng was now a high-level emperor, and his Devamara body had been cleansed once more. No emperor could resist his punches. His physical body had become so scary. If he punched an ordinary high-level emperor, he could crush him in a flash. There were 3 other people with him in the demon pond whose cultivation levels were higher than his. They were at the very top of the high Huang Qi layer. They were the ones who, with Ji Jiang, had chased Lin Feng back after Pathfinder Day. Lin Feng was doing his best to raise those people and make them into perfect demon puppets. He taught them the celestial evolution holy scriptures, he cleansed their bodies, he taught them saint spells, he taught them everything he knew. Even though Ji Jiang wasn't as famous as Ji Chang in the Ji clan, he was still a genius of the Huang Qi layer, or he wouldn't have chased after Lin Feng to kill him. Lin Feng was convinced that with the education he provided them and their high cultivation level, even if they weren't as good as he was at fighting, they would still be great fighters, especially with the celestial evolution holy scriptures which could increase their talent. With time, they'd stand out more and more. Lin Feng left his spirit's world and went back to the Holy Spirit dynasty. Half a year had passed. Meng Qing's tummy was getting bigger and bigger. Lin Feng didn't feel like fighting these days, because he wanted to be there for his child's birth. He had a strange feeling. He was going to become a father. He was nervous and excited at the same time. Is there anything wrong? Lin Feng asked someone who was waiting outside of his courtyard. A person from the Holy Spirit dynasty was there. Holy Dynasty Prince. When that person heard Lin Feng, his eyes twinkled. Lin Feng came out of his courtyard and looked at the strong cultivator who told him, "Holy Dynasty Prince, so much time has passed, shouldn't you?" Lin Feng perfectly understood. Even though the Holy Spirit dynasty liked him for his talent and they had also proclaimed him Holy Dynasty Prince, in the end, he wasn't a member of the Holy Spirit dynasty, he didn't have their blood. For them, his descendant was the important thing. "All right, don't worry," sighed Lin Feng, nodding. He had to do it. "Since you say that, I'm off," replied that person respectfully and then left. Lin Feng took a deep breath. He had no way to avoid this. He had to do it. It was too strange for him. If he transmitted his blood to the Holy Spirit dynasty, what would be his relationship to them? He would become a member of the Holy Spirit dynasty. He would be the Holy Dynasty Prince and people would think highly of him in the Holy Spirit dynasty. They would attach importance to him. He might become a holy emperor then, or his children would. The moon was shining upon the Holy Spirit dynasty. Lin Feng appeared in a peaceful courtyard. He didn't hide. Lin Feng opened the door, there was a curtain behind it and a silhouette within. "You're here." "Yes, I am here," Lin Feng replied softly. "Wait for me." Lin Feng saw a blurry silhouette behind the curtain changing her clothes. When she was done, she lay down on the bed and said gently, "All right, come in." Lin Feng entered the room. He could see her red underwear in the moonlight. He was able to see her breasts, but she was wearing a veil on her face. She didn't want Lin Feng to see her face. Lin Feng stood there, he didn't know what to do. He was embarrassed. He shyly walked forwards. Even though she looked very attractive, Lin Feng wasn't really very aroused. "I'm ready." "I don't have any," said the voice. She was shy too. Finally, she had managed to turn Lin Feng on. He walked up to her, laid down on the bed and touched her breasts. Her skin was very soft. Lin Feng touched her everywhere. She was laying on her belly. Lin Feng tried to turn her around, but she whispered, "Don't, it's all right like that." From behind. Lin Feng was startled. The woman had already bitten her lips to bleed. All right, Lin Feng was speechless. The Holy Spirit dynasty's people hadn't deceived him. She was really beautiful and it was her first time. He felt even more guilty. After that, Lin Feng came back to her on the 2 following evenings. Each time it was strange. After all, Lin Feng wasn't sure he could get her pregnant the first time, therefore, 3 nights, that way, it could only work. After the 3rd night, they didn't need to meet again. What a strange feeling. Lin Feng felt sad. On the 3rd night, Lin Feng also realized that the woman felt nervous, she wasn't scared, she also didn't seem to hate it, especially the last 2 nights, she had loved it. But she was acting strange. Lin Feng didn't understand why she didn't want him to see her face. Was she shy? But she had to meet him someday if she gave birth to their child. After a few days, the news spread that a princess of the Holy Spirit dynasty had become pregnant. The Holy Spirit dynasty's people were astonished. Many princesses of the dynasty were furious. When a princess had a man and a child, their child could become holy emperors or empresses. Lin Feng could only feel strange about all of it. Chapter 2039. Undercurrent. Elsewhere on the continent, there was a country dominated by snow. It was as beautiful as a painting. There were many beautiful plants there, deep-rooted in the snow, and very old. In front of the snowy tree there was an altar with many lotuses, all emitting pale lights. 3 lotuses were especially dazzling, especially the one in the middle. A celestial chi emerged from it. The lotuses were extremely beautiful, even the third one, even if it wasn't as beautiful as the 2 others. Besides, the strangest thing was that there was a lotus blossom inside the lotus. It was black and a powerful chi emerged from it and filled the air. Very good. A very old woman in front of the altar was holding a scepter. When she put it on the ground, the whole country trembled. People were wondering who had made her angry. Next to her were many other old people. They all looked solemn and respectful, and they were all staring at the strange lotus. That country was the mysterious Snow Clan. These 100 years have been among the best in the world. We've become much stronger. We have 5 geniuses. 2 kings, 1 queen. They come from different tribes of the Snow Clan. Only one of them belongs to my direct bloodline. I order the 3 of them to practice different types of cultivation. One must focus on cultivation, one must focus on society, one must live in seclusion. However, because of what happened back then, someone captured Ling Long and took her away. I asked the shrine. They said she'd have an incredible fate. I agreed to let her grow up outside without disturbing her. I said when she becomes a great emperor, she must come back to the clan and get married with a king, but now she's the weakest one and she is pregnant. I trusted the shrine too much. The grandmother spoke calmly. Everybody was surprised. One of their most important descendants had become pregnant. The blood of the Snow Clan was going to be mixed? When the people outside heard that, the grandmother sounded calm and serene, but the crowd knew she was truly furious. Back then, she was convinced that Ling Long would come back at some point to get married to a king from the Snow Clan. But now, the blood of their precious clan had been mixed with that of a foreigner. It was a nightmare for them. And surprisingly, the Destiny Shrine had made a mistake. Ling Long was the weakest of the 3 monarchs of their clan. She was growing more slowly than the 2 others. She wasn't interested in cultivation that much, and she was pregnant from an outsider. How could she have the life of a queen? She had soiled the blood of the clan. Go and check, where is she? Said the grandmother at that moment. Grandmother, said an old man next to her, Xue Shenfeng is practicing in the Dark Night region, in the Holy City. He's in Champion University. He noticed a member of the Snow Clan in Champion University in the Holy City. She has a celestial chi, but she has become the wife of another student. The grandmother was furious and ice-cold lights glittered in her eyes. Gonja, take Ao out to practice and bring her back, whispered the grandmother. Everybody nodded. Xue Ling Long had appeared outside, she was pregnant, and now they had to take her back. In the ancient Jade dynasty, a special guest had arrived. The Holy Jade Princess was welcoming her, as she was from the Moon Palace. Empress, she looked at everyone icily, including Yiren Lei, and said, Where's Lin Feng? After having left the historical remains, Lin Feng left with people from the Holy Spirit dynasty. After that, he didn't show up again. We don't know where he is, replied one of the women. He's still in the Holy Spirit dynasty, said the Holy Jade Princess, smiling evilly. He's in the Holy Spirit dynasty and has received the legacy of the ancestors. The Holy Spirit dynasty made him reproduce with an outstanding woman of their dynasty. Lin Feng is already the Holy Dynasty Prince of the Holy Spirit dynasty. His children will become holy emperors of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Empress, she looked furious. That bastard. But now that Lin Feng had a special status in the Holy Spirit dynasty, they couldn't do much, they could only wait. A dynasty was far more terrifying than an ancient holy clan. Thank you for the pieces of information. If Lin Feng comes out, please inform me, Empress, she asked the Holy Jade Princess. The ancient Jade dynasty had power to, if they watched someone, that person couldn't escape from them. Empress, she, don't worry, I will, replied the Holy Jade Princess, smiling thinly. In the Tianxi dynasty, in one of their main halls, people had gathered, looking both solemn and respectful, as they were under great pressure. Has Qin recovered? Asked the one who occupied a leader position in the room. He's okay. He will completely recover at some point, replied people who were seated lower than him. The Tianxi Celestial Emperor looked furious and said, among our best people, Yan was killed by Lin Feng and Qin had problems. Damn. And that little insolent bastard, said someone, looking at Piao Shui icily. Yan was incompetent. It has nothing to do with Piao Shui, said someone else coldly. Do you have news from Lin Feng? He's still in the Holy Spirit dynasty. He hasn't come out, said someone else. Watch him, said another celestial emperor icily. Piao Shui was stupefied. She wanted to speak up for him, but in the end she gave up. She wanted to explain that her imperial brothers had bullied Lin Feng, but there was no point. Yes, your majesty, replied someone. Lin Feng didn't know what was going on in the Snow Clan, of course. He didn't know that many people were watching him either. Lin Feng spent some peaceful days. However, he was also vigilant. Meng Qing's tummy was getting bigger and bigger. He knew it was a boy, as cultivators could sense whether their future child would be a boy or a girl. Lin Feng, have you thought of a name? Asked Meng Qing. They were in his spirit world. Meng Qing and Lin Feng were seated on a blue Uptila lotus. It was a very romantic scene. Lin Jitian, what do you think about it? Asked Lin Feng to Meng Qing. Lin Jitian, whispered Meng Qing. She smiled gently and said, if you like it, I like it too. So, it'll be Lin Jitian, said Lin Feng, raising his head and looking at the sky. He whispered, our child will become extremely strong. Someday, he'll be able to destroy the skies with one finger. Meng Qing laughed gently and snuggled into Lin Feng's arms. She whispered, what about the child you gave to the Holy Spirit dynasty? They will choose the name themselves, said Lin Feng, smiling. Outside of his world, the Holy Spirit dynasty had come to Lin Feng, but Lin Feng had left a clone outside. He didn't need to go out. Holy Dynasty Prince, said an old man, bowing before Lin Feng respectfully. What is it? Asked Lin Feng calmly. Holy Dynasty Prince, Qi Tian Holy Town is changing quickly. There are many strong cultivators here and we're under pressure. Many people are watching you. Don't go out unless it's necessary, the old man said to Lin Feng. Lin Feng was startled. Many people were watching him? Back then during the battle, elders from other dynasties were there. Would they dare attack me? Said Lin Feng. They won't dare attack you, of course. You're the Holy Dynasty Prince. However, the situation in Qi Tian Holy Town is chaotic these days and complex. If someone dares attack you, they won't let you know who they are, therefore, please tell us if you want to go out, said the old man. Lin Feng nodded agreeably. He hadn't been out for a while and things had changed a lot in Qi Tian Holy Town. I understand. Before his child's birth, he was going to stay in and rest. Chapter 2040, Shui Ao. Time passed. Lin Feng kept growing stronger. He had already been cleansed twice by Devamara Kalpa strength, and his Devamara body had also been cleansed twice. His physical strength had already reached the top of the Huangqi layer. At that moment, Lin Feng could really sense how powerful the indestructible Devamara body was. After having his Devamara body cleansed 3 more times and after being cleansed 3 more times by Devamara Kalpa strength, he would have no enemies anymore at the level of the Huangqi layer. Lin Feng was wondering whether, if he continued on this path, if he would have the physical strength of a great emperor. That way, he would be sure to have no problems at all. Something else made Lin Feng speechless those days. Meng Qing had been pregnant for a year and their baby hadn't been born yet. Lin Feng had always said he wanted his first child with Meng Qing, but now the plan was probably ruined. Meng Qing didn't mind. Even though she had turned into a human being, she was actually Shui Ling Long, so that probably explained why Lin Jitian hadn't been born yet. Lin Feng arrived in the concubine's courtyard. The beautiful woman was holding a baby. She looked calm and serene. When she heard Lin Feng, she quickly turned away. Lin Feng was speechless. You really don't want me to see your face? You came to see the child? I called him Lin Qiongsheng. He will definitely be very talented. When he's 2 nature pills, come and hug him, said the girl in a hoarse voice. She stretched her arms left, but didn't turn around. All right. Even though Lin Feng didn't understand why she didn't want him to see her face and the 3 nights had been really strange, he respected her. He walked to her and grabbed the child. He had beautiful eyes. Lin Feng recognized some of his facial features. He couldn't help but smile. I'm your daddy. In the future, Lin Qiongsheng, take care of your mummy. The little boy looked at Lin Feng, his eyes twinkling. Lin Feng felt so happy. He gave back Lin Qiongsheng to his mother and smiled. If you need anything, contact me. All right, the woman nodded. Lin Feng walked away and left. After he left, the beautiful woman turned around and said, Lin Qiongsheng, do you know why I gave you that name? Because it's your mother and father's story. You're the hope of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Unfortunately, you will never be like your father because your mother will never be able to leave the Holy Spirit dynasty. I understand your father. I will do my best to protect him. Phew, the woman heard someone sigh. The woman was startled and her expression changed. She looked solemn and respectful. She also felt pressured and said indifferently, come in. A silhouette entered. Lin Feng would have been surprised if he had been there, because it was the Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty. You've known each other for a while, why didn't you want him to see you? Asked the Holy Emperor. It's none of your business, said the woman indifferently. You're worried about the agreement with the Holy Mother? She's used the strength of the altar to give you all she could. She hopes you can become a protector of the Holy Spirit dynasty. You promised her, so you can't leave. So even if you show Lin Feng your face, what's the problem? Even if he can't stay here, he would come to see you quite often, wouldn't it be great? What if he wants to take me away? Replied the girl. The Holy Emperor was surprised. I don't think I could refuse, said the woman, smiling gently. If Lin Feng wanted to take her away, would she refuse? If she left, what would she do? What about the strength of the sacrificial altar? She had 2 choices. No matter what, it would be painful. If Lin Feng knew, he'd be sad and tormented. She didn't want 2 people to suffer, 1 was enough. And she could stay with their child and raise him. Wait until Qiongsheng is a grown-up and has received the legacy of the Holy Dynasty Prince, then you'll be able to go with him, said the Holy Emperor in a low voice, before he turned around and left. Back in the days, the Holy Spirit dynasty had a Holy Mother. However, she hadn't managed to reach a certain level. She had made a cultivation mistake and had been severely injured. Therefore, she had decided to sacrifice herself and give this woman everything she had. Even though she wasn't a member of the Holy Spirit dynasty, she had their blood. Qiongsheng, hurry up and grow up, said the woman, kissing the baby with much love. A group of people arrived at the Tianxi dynasty, wearing snow-white robes. They all had an extraordinary qi, especially the leader of the group. He looked ice-cold, and his qi was bestial. People had the distinct impression he was aggressive and violent, and kept their distance from him. Who are you and what are you doing here in the Tianxi dynasty? Asked a guard at that moment. However, when the guards sensed the young man's qi, they shivered, as these people were extraordinary. We came to see your holy emperor, said the young man icily, and then continued flying forwards. Your Excellency, if you want to see our holy emperor, just wait and we'll inform them, said the guards. The arrogant young man suddenly released a terrifyingly cold qi, shouting furiously, insolent. He stopped and released even more qi. With a glance at the crowd, he waved his hands and 2 beasts appeared, while the air started freezing. The beasts roared in a deadly rage. The 2 guards could only look desperate and scream as the 2 snow beasts devoured them. The young man shook his sleeves as if nothing had happened and continued striding forwards. At the same time, he shouted furiously, Holy Emperor, come out and see me. Who dares act that insolently in the Tianxi dynasty? Many voices shouted back icily. Great imperial qi filled the air. A great emperor arrived and saw Shuai-Ao. However, Shuai-Ao merely grunted icily and the air started freezing again. He stretched out his hands and a snowy path appeared, moving straight towards the great emperor. "Piss off," shouted the great emperor. A snow spear appeared and shot towards Shui Ao. At the same time, a domain filling the air Dao strength appeared. Arg! Explosions sounded, a snow-filled territory appeared behind the snow young man. The sky seemed to be bearing down, as if millions of mammoths were falling from the sky, and the air creaked and groaned. The incoming spear broke apart. At the same time, Shui Ao continued moving forwards and raised his hands, aiming at the man's head. The great emperor pulled a long face. He moved like water, trying to dodge. "Explode!" shouted the young man furiously. The beasts roared furiously as the air kept exploding. The great emperor dodged away, but his body kept breaking apart. He shrieked horribly, even as Shui Ao grabbed his head and blew it apart. He considered everybody and everything beneath his notice. Many more cultivators arrived very quickly. Great imperial chi rose up in the air. Many great emperors appeared before the young man, but when they saw him, his clothes, and the people behind him, their expressions changed slightly. The leader stopped, prevented the others from attacking, and asked politely, "You're from the Snow Clan, Your Excellency?" "Snow Clan, Shui Ao," declared the young man icily. The crowd from the Tianxi dynasty were astonished. The Snow Clan. This young man was terrifyingly strong. The great emperors of the Tianxi dynasty couldn't compete with him. What is the Snow Clan doing here? And why attack our people? We've heard that Lin Feng from the Holy City had spent some time here. Where is he? Shui Ao asked icily. Lin Feng. The Tianxi were stunned. The Tianxi leader said, "We invited Lin Feng to come here, but right now he's in the Holy Spirit dynasty. I don't care where he is. Within 3 days, go and see him and make him come here," said Shui Ao, furiously releasing explosive qi. The cultivators behind him remained silent, as Shui Ao was terrifying. The two kings of the Snow Clan were completely different. Shui Ao was violent, brutal, and aggressive. He angered easily. Chapter 2041. Two Taoist priests. The Tianxi cultivators all grimaced, but they couldn't do much against the aggressive prince of the Snow Clan. The strong cultivators who were behind him hadn't even got involved, either. The young men of the Snow Clan had come to the Tianxi dynasty and dared attack their people. If it had been anyone else, the Tianxi dynasty would have killed them already, but the Snow Clan was a powerful and mysterious clan, and the Tianxi dynasty couldn't afford to offend them. Therefore, even though they were furious, they didn't say anything. The Snow Clan cultivators had come for Lin Feng, but unfortunately, they had come to the Tianxi dynasty to find him. "We will dispatch people to find him and make him come. Please, you are guests here. Kindly do not cause trouble here," said the old man of the Tianxi's group. He was furious but didn't show it. He could only deal with them pragmatically. They were the weaker force here. The Snow Clan was stronger than they were. The atmosphere calmed down. The Tianxi cultivators were furious, but they remained silent. The Snow Clan cultivators, especially great emperors, were terrifying. Lin Feng didn't know that the Snow Clan had come to Chi Tian Holy Town to find him, but the Holy Spirit dynasty already knew about it. When the Tianxi cultivators came to the Holy Spirit dynasty, the Holy Spirit cultivators could only welcome them. "I'm going straight to the point. A member of the Snow Clan who has a king-type body has come to the Tianxi dynasty and he's looking for Lin Feng," the Tianxi cultivator informed them. The strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit dynasty flung his sleeves and said, "If people want to harm Lin Feng, we won't let him go. Lin Feng is the Holy Dynasty Prince of the Holy Spirit dynasty now, so I understand you want to protect him. Nonetheless, Lin Feng must go this time. Otherwise, the Snow Clan cultivators will be furious and will come to the Holy Spirit dynasty," said the Tianxi cultivator icily. The Snow Clan cultivators seemed insane. If one cultivator dared cause trouble and attack people in the Tianxi dynasty, what else might he do? And could the Holy Spirit dynasty deal with him? No need to talk that much anyway. They said that you have 3 days to deliver Lin Feng. "I'm off," said the Tianxi cultivator icily. Then, he flung his sleeves and left. The strong cultivators of the Holy Spirit dynasty flung their sleeves, all of them pulling long faces. If it had been anyone else, The Holy Spirit dynasty could have done something, any other dynasty, or any other clan. But this time, it was the Snow Clan, and the Snow Clan didn't fear Shiju Lao Xian. At that moment, a silhouette appeared, and everybody raised their heads. Holy Emperor! All right, said the Holy Emperor, waving to acknowledge everyone. Everybody sat down, one person speaking up. Holy Emperor, the Snow Clan has come to cause trouble. They want to find Lin Feng, but Lin Feng is meditating in seclusion and practicing cultivation. If we don't tell them anything, they won't know what he's doing and where he is. What should we do? The Snow Clan. The Holy Emperor was stupefied. Why was the Snow Clan looking for Lin Feng? If the problem was too important, things could get serious for the Holy Spirit dynasty, and they wouldn't be able to keep the situation under control. I'm going to find Lin Feng and then I'll decide what to do, said the Holy Emperor calmly, before proceeding to leave. He had to understand what the Snow Clan wanted from Lin Feng first. The Holy Emperor left and went to find Lin Feng. When Lin Feng saw the Holy Emperor, he was surprised. Lin Feng, I need to ask you something. There is no harm in saying what one thinks, Holy Emperor, said Lin Feng agreeably. Are there tensions between you and the Snow Clan? Asked the Holy Emperor. Lin Feng was startled. The Holy Emperor had come personally to ask him that. There was something going on obviously. Master, have the Snow Clan come to Chi Tian Holy Town? Asked Lin Feng without answering the question. The Holy Emperor realized it was a serious problem. Some cultivators from the Snow Clan have arrived at the Tianxi dynasty. They said that they wanted to see you within 3 days, and some people from the Tianxi dynasty just came to us. The Holy Emperor informed him calmly. However, Lin Feng sensed that he was feeling nervous. How many strong cultivators? Asked Lin Feng. One of them has a king-type body. Some old men and younger ones also followed him, said the Holy Emperor. Lin Feng understood that they had come for Meng Qing and felt the pressure. The Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty had come personally. It meant that the Snow Clan was extremely powerful. It was difficult to imagine. If there is a big problem, the Holy Spirit dynasty is willing to bear the pressure for you, said the Holy Emperor. Lin Feng looked at him deeply. He was trying to understand if he really meant it or not. If the Holy Spirit dynasty really dared protect him, the Holy Emperor wouldn't have come personally. Of course, Lin Feng couldn't blame them. Even though he had an unusual position within the Holy Spirit dynasty, if the tensions between him and the Snow Clan were too serious, how could the Holy Spirit dynasty bear the pressure for him? They couldn't afford to offend the Snow Clan, otherwise the consequences would be too serious. When the Holy Emperor saw Lin Feng's expression, he made up his mind, he turning around and leaving. At the same time, he said, Lin Feng, I will organize a banquet for the Snow Clan's cultivators. Even if they are strong enough, they probably won't dare attack you in the Holy Spirit dynasty. At least, we'll do our best to make them keep calm, and if you put pressure on them, then that's the best. Thank you very much, Holy Emperor, Lin Feng replied gratefully. He watched the Holy Emperor leave. If the Snow Clan's cultivators had come to kidnap him, they wouldn't have sent people of the same age, they would have immediately oppressed him and the Holy Spirit dynasty. Lin Feng was already grateful. The Snow Clan was probably stronger than most imperial clans and ancient holy clans, and Meng Qing was probably a holy maiden from the Snow Clan. The feast day was set. The Holy Spirit dynasty would receive the cultivators of the Snow Clan as well as the geniuses of Chi Tian Holy Town. Of course, some outsiders who had come for the historical remains would also attend. When the news spread, the members of the Tianxi dynasty looked happy, gloating over the Holy Spirit dynasty's misfortune. The Holy Spirit dynasty was protecting Lin Feng and had invited so many geniuses, doubtless they were trying to put pressure on the Snow Clan. After the news spread, there were no ill consequences, which surprised the Tianxi dynasty. People hadn't heard anything about Lin Feng for nearly a year. Some people were surprised that he was even in the Holy Spirit dynasty, and now the dynasty was even inviting the Snow Clan? The gossips couldn't wait to see what was going to happen. In the saint's world, Wang Jian was seated on a mountain, his aura sharp and ready. He hadn't left the historical remains. The members of his clan had also joined him to hunt for treasures in the historical remains. However, they hadn't obtained much. Back then, They had wanted to steal Lin Feng's treasures, but then he had surprised them by killing Prince Yen. On a flat land of the Saints' world, Chu Chun Chiu looked in the direction of the Holy Spirit dynasty. During this past year, he had become much stronger. His eyes glittered with subdued fury. He looked like a real king. Chu Chun Chiu wasn't interested in the historical remains as much as those searching for them. Apart from treasures, he was especially interested in people's lives and souls. At the same time, white clouds rolled in waves up in the sky. There were many people gathered on a white cloud. At the forefront were two people, both strangely dressed. There was a Taoist priest, posing as person of high morals, and next to him, there was a little Taoist priest. Good heavens, I haven't seen that little boy for so many years, and he's causing trouble again, said the Taoist priest, who had the demeanor of a transcendent being. Teacher, that's Lin Feng, said the young Taoist priest next to him, smiling. He looked a bit afraid of his teacher. Yes, back then Lin Feng was an ordinary cultivator, but then I became his teacher. I taught him a lot. He became that way thanks to me. That's why he's famous in Qitian Holy Town. If he hadn't left me, he would have become even stronger. He's not like you though, he could kill you with one finger. You're a disgrace. But you're lucky to have found me. Thanks to me, you will definitely become a terrifying cultivator, said the Taoist priest solemnly. The little Taoist priest next to him winced. Lin Feng used to be an ordinary cultivator? Back then, the diviner had said he would become a terrifying cultivator if he didn't die and wanted to recruit him. Now the Taoist priest was saying that Lin Feng had become so strong thanks to him? Of course, the disciple was not going to say anything out loud, and the Taoist priest was extremely strong. That was undeniable. So you think that if I stay with you, I'll become even stronger than Lin Feng, teacher? Asked the little Taoist priest calmly. Not necessarily. You met me a bit too late, maybe? You could, but Lin Feng met me when he was very young. Of course, you have already become a medium-level emperor thanks to me. If you hadn't met me, you would not have become a medium-level emperor so quickly, replied the Taoist priest. The little Taoist priest sighed and asked, Where are we going, teacher? We're going to the Holy Spirit dynasty. Lin Feng is my disciple. Even though he's a bit famous, he's still very young and he has offended the Snow Clan. I must intervene, said the Taoist priest. The little Taoist priest had cold sweats and exclaimed, You're really strong, teacher. Yes, said the Taoist priest proudly. They were en route for the Holy Spirit dynasty. Chapter 2042. Before the storm, Lin Feng was in his spirit world, seated in front of Qin Shan. He released soul strength and put it into Qin Shan. Master, I'm sorry for disturbing you, said Lin Feng. Qin Shan's consciousness condensed. Do you need help? Asked Qin Shan. Yes, Master, I need your help. I might be in trouble soon, otherwise, I wouldn't have come disturb you, said Lin Feng. Without Qin Shan's help, Lin Feng would be in trouble. Lin Jitian was going to be born soon, the Snow Clan was putting pressure on him, and many people in Qitian Holy Town were watching him. He needed someone powerful to help him. Alright, but remember to ask me for help when you really need it, because after a great fight, I might lose control over this body. I will need to sleep for a very long time, and I won't be able to help you again. With such a little thread of consciousness, I won't be able to use my full strength that many times, said Qin Shan. Lin Feng was grateful and replied, I will choose the best time to call you. When I become stronger, I'll find a doctor for you. I hope to bring you back to life like before. You're kind. Come, try and put your soul into my brain. We'll try to control my body together. After a battle, you'll also become weaker, and you won't be able to control my body, and you will also need much vitality and vigor. You will also need time to recover. I understand, Lin Feng replied. He put his soul into Qin Shan's body. He tried to fuse together with his consciousness to control the ancient body. Walking around was no problem, but fighting was another story. Lin Feng didn't want to use the ancient body. It was bad for both Qin Shan and him, but this was for Meng Qing. This wasn't a game, it was deadly serious. The two Taoist priests arrived in front of the Holy Spirit dynasty. The guards looked at them and shivered. What was going in Qitian Holy Town? The Snow Clan had come to the Tianxi dynasty. They were aggressive and violent. Now some strong cultivators were in front of the Holy Spirit dynasty. An old man behind them was trembling. "Masters, what are you doing in the Holy Spirit dynasty? If you need anything, I'll inform the leaders," asked the guard, extremely politely. "Good heavens, I'm your Holy Dynasty Prince's teacher. I came to see him," said the Taoist priest with his palms together. He sounded solemn and respectful. The guards looked at him respectfully and bowed. "I'm going to inform our Holy Dynasty Prince then." "All right, I will wait here," said the Taoist priest indifferently. He looked noble and strong. In the distance, many people looked at him and started immediately gossiping. "That Taoist priest looks extraordinary and extremely strong. There are many strong cultivators with him. And surprisingly, he is the Holy Dynasty Prince's teacher." No wonder the Holy Dynasty Prince was so strong. He had an incredible teacher who looks unfathomable and enigmatic. Yes, the Taoist priest really looks extraordinary, and now he came to see the Holy Dynasty Prince. The Taoist priest ignored what the people were saying. When Lin Feng heard the guard, he was stunned. "His teacher?" His eyes twinkled and he asked, "And what does he look like?" "He's a Taoist priest," he said. "Good heavens," when he arrived. "He is with many other powerful cultivators." "He came to see you," relayed the guard. Lin Feng finally understood. He smiled and said, "That old bastard is here." "Old bastard?" The guard shook his head when he heard Lin Feng talk about the Taoist priest like that. He noted that Lin Feng and the Taoist priest were close. The Taoist priest hadn't lied. After a short time, Lin Feng walked out to the gate. When he saw the Taoist priest, he smiled at him and said, "Bastard, since when are you my teacher?" Yan Di said, "Little bastard, now that you've become an extremely strong cultivator, you've forgotten about me." All right, I became strong thanks to you," said Lin Feng, smiling happily. He looked at the small Taoist priest next to him. The little Taoist priest looked happy and said to Lin Feng, "Back then, let's forget about the tensions. Now, I'm our teacher's disciple. We are fellow disciples, and now you're the Holy Dynasty Prince. You know many ancient techniques. I hope I can learn from you." Lin Feng rolled his eyes and replied, "Fu Hei, I had not anticipated that you'd become his disciple." Fu Hei smiled. "Let's not talk about that. Let's exchange views on cultivation. Teach me some techniques." The Taoist priest tapped Fu Hei's head and said, "Don't think you can do anything because you're my disciple." "I learned that from you," protested Fu Hei, smiling wryly. "All right, come with me," said Lin Feng. Lin Feng was really happy that Yan Di had come. "Lin Feng, the Snow Clan came because of Meng Qing, right?" Yan Di asked Lin Feng as they strolled back to his place. "She has a king-type body of the Snow Clan. They obviously came for Meng Qing. I don't know why they're doing that. Meng Qing never goes out," replied Lin Feng. "You underestimate the Snow Clan. The Snow Clan is very powerful. They're not as strong as they once were, but they're still very strong. They have some terrifying spells you can't imagine," Yan Di said calmly. "Where is Meng Qing?" "She's pregnant and the Snow Clan came precisely at that moment." "Old bastard, help me," said Lin Feng, directly asking for help. "No need to think too much, it's an easy thing," said Yan Di, rolling his eyes. Lin Feng was surprised. "Easy? How to solve the problem?" asked Lin Feng, his eyes twinkling. "Give Meng Qing back to the Snow Clan," said Yan Di. "Piss off," said Lin Feng. He looked even more furious than Fu Hei had. "What a bastard! The Snow Clan has dispatched people to find Meng Qing. They care about her. She won't be in danger there. I don't know what the Snow Clan thinks of the child, though. They won't kill him, since she's one of them," said Yan Di. "But you did a good job. The Snow Clan will definitely want to kill you. You are under pressure. If you don't give Meng Qing back, they'll definitely kill you." "Impossible, Meng Qing must stay with me." "If you don't want to help me, then fine," replied Lin Feng, annoyed now. "You need an army to block them," said Yan Di, waving his hands. "Anyway, with me here, they won't dare annoy you. After all, I'm your teacher." Yan Di was really shameless. Back in the days, Lin Feng used to ride him when he was still Cheong Chi. Back then, Qiongqi also used to eat his abstruse energy crystals. Remembering those things, Lin Feng laughed. Finally, it was the day of the banquet. Many strong cultivators arrived in the Holy Spirit dynasty. Many people wanted to see what would happen between Lin Feng and the Snow Clan. Why was the Snow Clan angry at him? Because of it, the dynasties were also involved. In a courtyard, a woman in black clothes handed Lin Qiongxing over to someone. Her beautiful eyes twinkled. She looked angry. Nobody could touch Lin Feng, including the Snow Clan. Chapter 2043, discussing the problem the Holy Spirit dynasty organized the banquet. Even though the goal was to discuss Lin Feng's problem, the Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty welcomed the guests. Everybody found that strange. The Holy Emperor had appeared personally, so he could act as a mediator and reduce the pressure. With the Holy Emperor present, it would be difficult to oppress the Holy Spirit dynasty, and the Holy Emperor also attached great importance to Lin Feng. Many strong cultivators from the Qin dynasty were there too. Lin Feng had obtained their ancestors' technique. They wanted it no matter what. The members of the ancient Jade dynasty also came, along with people of the Moon Palace. Empress Shi was there. There were 3 old men who looked unfathomable and enigmatic. Of course, apart from the dynasties, there were some ancient holy clans. Wang Jian's ancient holy clan also arrived. Zhuoqing's group also came. Geniuses and strong cultivators from many different places were all in attendance. "Everybody, come and have a seat," said the Holy Spirit dynasty's holy emperor patiently. The crowd sat down and waited patiently. The Snow Clan and the Tianxi dynasty's members hadn't arrived. They were the real protagonists. A cold qi emerged all about them. The temperature dropped down, and snowflakes appeared. "The Snow Clan is here," thought the crowd. Another group of people had arrived. They were wearing snowy white robes, and looked proud and arrogant. The young man at the very front looked incredible, like a real warrior. His eyes were bestial. He looked like someone who could burst into violence at any time. The members of the Tianxi dynasty arrived, but they stayed back, as if all that had nothing to do with them. "What about Lin Feng?" said Shuai-ao, looking over the crowd icily. "Snow Clan, your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. Please come and have a seat," said the Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty. He didn't reply to the question. "Where's Lin Feng?" asked Shuai-ao again coldly. He didn't give the Holy Emperor any face. He was a beast from the Snow Clan, and very aggressive. In the kingdom of the Snow Clan, nobody could compare with Shuai-ao. "You're looking for the Holy Dynasty Prince? What is the reason?" asked the Holy Emperor calmly. "We're here to kill him." Shuai-ao's eyes glittered with cold lights. Kill him? The Snow Clan wanted to kill Lin Feng. What had he done to offend them? An eerie silence invaded the atmosphere when he said that. The Snow Clan had come to the Holy Spirit dynasty to kill their Holy Dynasty Prince. How scary. Shuai-ao was staring at the Holy Emperor, waiting for him to react. Would they hand Lin Feng over? The Holy Emperor hadn't thought the situation would be so bad. A cultivator of the Snow Clan who had a king-type body had come to Qitian Holy Town to kill Lin Feng. What if I refuse? The Holy Emperor remained silent for a few seconds and finally asked. He sounded indifferent, even though he was smiling. Shuai-ao stepped forwards and released a terrifying amount of bestial qi. "If Lin Feng doesn't come out, we'll kill the members of the Holy Spirit dynasty until he comes out," snarled Shuai-ao aggressively. He looked furious and scornful. Who would dare attack him if he started killing them? The Holy Emperor remained silent. Someone near to him said indifferently, "Holy Emperor Ling, Lin Feng is not from the Holy Spirit dynasty. No need to protect him. Since he has received the legacy of our ancestors, just ask him to transmit his knowledge to us. No need to offend other people. I'm from the Qin dynasty. I also want Lin Feng to transmit our ancestors' knowledge to us." Lin Feng is insolent. He killed Prince Yan. Now the Snow Clan wants to kill him. The Holy Spirit dynasty doesn't need to get involved. But before killing him, we want to get the skeleton he's obtained. Spoke up a Tianxi cultivator. They're basically throwing stones at someone who has fallen down a well, thought the crowd. Nobody dared steal things directly from Lin Feng, but now they had an opportunity to join hands with the Snow Clan to steal his treasures. According to rumor, Lin Feng also has the Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures. Since he's going to die, we can also share them, said someone else icily. The Holy Spirit dynasty was coming under great pressure. The dynasties could benefit from the situation, all thanks to the Snow Clan. Everybody watched at the Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Holy Emperor Ling, hand Lin Feng over. Lin Feng has offended too many people. Holy Emperor Ling, don't be stubborn. The situation is too serious. The pressure was intense. So many people want to kill me, said someone indifferently at that moment. Lin Feng came out of a palace with other people. Everybody turned to look at him. Lin Feng. People's eyes twinkled coldly. Lin Feng had dared to come out. Lin Feng had dared come out, and now he even sat down. There was a Taoist priest next to him, composed and unmoved. When he arrived, he exclaimed, "Good heavens!" and many people rolled their eyes. Where were these people from? The people who had come with Lin Feng looked terrifying, unfathomable, and enigmatic. "You're Lin Feng," said Xue Ao, staring at Lin Feng and releasing bestial qi. A hurricane appeared around him. He looked ferocious, ready to pounce. "Where's Xue Ling Long?" demanded Xue Ao icily. Lin Feng looked at him indifferently. What an arrogant little beast. Then he looked elsewhere, ignoring him. Xue Ao suddenly looked amused. His bestial qi became even thicker. He suddenly turned into a blur of light and charged Lin Feng. As he did, an old man behind Lin Feng opened his eyes and looked at Xue Ao icily. Suddenly, lights moved towards him. The air began to warp. Xue Ao groaned and released a terrifying strength, explosively facing off against the older man, and was hurled away helplessly. At the same time, the Snow Clan cultivators released a terrifying qi altogether. Everybody felt ice cold. "Do you know what you're doing?" shouted an old man of the Snow Clan, staring at Lin Feng's group. The Taoist priest closed his eyes and replied indifferently, "Good heavens!" The old man stared at the Taoist priest icily. "Your Excellency, I've seen too many little beasts like you. You can become my pets, I'll help you broaden your knowledge, and that way, you will stop losing face," said the old Taoist priest, shaking his head and staring at the Snow Clan cultivators. The members of the Snow Clan were stupefied. Everybody else was stunned too, actually. That old Taoist priest was acting too recklessly. He was humiliating the Snow Clan? Become his pets? Broaden the Snow Clan's knowledge? "What did you say?" demanded the Snow Clan's strong cultivator icily. They couldn't believe it. That old Taoist priest was humiliating the Snow Clan? Good heavens, not only don't you want to broaden your knowledge, but you also don't understand what I'm saying. "It seems I can't help you after all," the old Taoist priest sighed. "Insolent!" shouted the old man explosively. The atmosphere around him started freezing. The palace behind them even disappeared under snowflakes. "You want to die?" "Teacher, they are bad people and they even dare say we want to die?" the little black Taoist priest asked the older one. "They think they can kill us, they think we won't react," explained the old Taoist priest patiently. "Oh, why wouldn't we strike back if they attacked us?" asked the little Taoist priest, frowning. "They should listen to us carefully next time," said the old Taoist priest, calmly patting the young one's shoulder. The members of the Snow Clan all pulled long faces. Chapter 2044. Yendi's craziness. The Snow Clan cultivators were furious. People were humiliating them in front of everybody. Everybody was amused, but nobody dared show it. They were wondering where those people came from. They were definitely brave. They dared make fun of the Snow Clan in front of everybody. Very few people dared do that. The space around them was already completely frozen. An old man of the Snow Clan looked furious and stared at Yendi, spitting out, "Are you from the Holy Spirit dynasty?" "We're not." "I know, you're disappointed," said Yendi, laughing. "I'm a very old cultivator of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan. Are you interested in becoming my pet? Your clan was destroyed once 10,000 years ago, now we're going to destroy it once again," said the old man icily. The people behind Yendi opened their eyes, and rather suddenly, The ice broke apart. However, Yendi waved his hand, making everyone recall their chi before he closed his eyes. The old man of the Snow Clan groaned icily. He was going crazy. I've heard of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan. They're going to be destroyed again since they're acting recklessly, swore Shui Ao furiously. Old buddy, when beasts haven't really transformed into human beings, they're still as stupid as before, right? Lin Feng asked Yendi. Seems like it, Yendi nodded. I think so too. How do they even dare threaten us? Said Fu Hei, shaking his head. Poor Tianxi dynasty, these people went to their dynasty and killed their people. The Snow Clan dares bully them. Is that why the dynasties of Qi Tian Holy Town haven't received the legacy of their ancestors for such a long time? Because they can't kill such people? Wondered Fu Hei. We can't blame the Tianxi dynasty. Even though they're cowards, they can't compete with the Snow Clan, so they're just vigilant, Yendi sighed. The members of the Snow Clan and the Tianxi dynasty all pulled long faces. Oh, so the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan doesn't need to fear them in case they want to get their revenge? Asked Fu Hei fatuously. Little boy, you're smart. What should we do? They dared threaten us and said they would destroy the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan, asked Fu Hei, smiling broadly. Of course, who can threaten me? Said the old Taoist priest nodding. He looked at the people behind him and said, if you hear them make impertinent remarks about our clan again, kill the little beasts which keeps barking. You're insolent. The members of the Snow Clan started walking forwards and releasing chi. Who's barking again? Explosions and crackling of chi in conflict rose. When the members of the Snow Clan started walking towards them, Yendi smashed the table in front of him and it exploded. He stood up, his hair messy and fluttering in the wind. The strong cultivators of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan also started walking and releasing a truly horrifying chi. The members of the Snow Clan all froze in place and stared at Yendi. They all pulled long faces. You think I'm a little beast too? Said Yendi. Flames of fury were burning in his eyes. He then said icily, you're threatening us? I've seen many people like you, even thousands of years ago. I'm not afraid of a few little beasts. If you say anything, I just have to raise my hand, and you'll die. Yendi didn't look like a nice and gentle Taoist priest anymore. He was releasing an ominous chi. The members of the Snow Clan remained very silent at that moment, their hearts pounding in very unfamiliar fear. Some other people looked at Yendi and were jealous. He was so strong and arrogant. He was definitely crazy, humiliating the members of the Snow Clan and making them shut up. The strangest thing was that the Snow Clan, who had dared go to the Tianxi dynasty and kill people, shut up when Yendi threatened them. The crowd was astonished. The members of the Snow Clan were furious, but they didn't dare say anything. Everybody was afraid of crazy people. The Tianxi dynasty couldn't afford to offend the Snow Clan. None of the dynasties couldn't afford to offend them, actually. But that old Taoist priest did dare to offend them, so he was definitely crazy. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. His old buddy was definitely fearless and crazy. Yendi always went too far. Yendi smiled indifferently when he saw the Snow Clan had shut up. He reclaimed the demeanor of a transcendent being again. He smiled and said, "Don't look so serious. I just asked you to shut up. Don't be nervous. I just don't like it when little animals bark unceasingly. Just stay calm." Yendi sat down slowly again as if nothing had happened. However, the members of the Snow Clan continued remaining silent. As Yendi had said, he just wanted them to shut up. The strong cultivators of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan were there, and could crush them. Yendi had even said he would kill Shui Ao if they continued being annoying. They couldn't afford to lose him. They had come to kill Lin Feng, and in the end they had to shut up. Oh, and someone said they wanted the Celestial Evolution Holy Scriptures which belong to my Celestial Evolution Holy Clan. If anyone needs them, please tell me. I'll come to your dynasty or clan personally. Maybe I'll give them to you if I'm in a good mood, said Yendi to the crowd, smiling broadly. He looked nice and gentle, completely different from a few moments before. The members of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan were fearless. They didn't even fear the Snow Clan. Actually, the cultivators Yen Di had brought were all celestial emperors and saint emperors. Apart from the little Taoist priest, the weakest cultivator was Yen Di himself. He was only a great emperor. Yen Di shrugged and smiled at Lin Feng. "All right, it's your turn." Lin Feng smiled and stood up. He walked to the crowd and looked at the members of the Tianxi dynasty. He smiled and said, "Prince Yen wanted to steal my treasures, so I killed him. If you want to avenge his death, I'm here. Come and attack." The members of the Tianxi dynasty looked furious. Everybody had seen Lin Feng and Prince Yan's battle. If they killed Lin Feng because of that, wouldn't there be consequences? Impossible. The consequences would be terrifying for the Tianxi dynasty. Besides, if they killed Lin Feng and obtained nothing, it would be even more tragic. Everybody had acted arrogantly just now. They had all said they wanted to kill Lin Feng because the Snow Clan had the advantage. Now that the members of the Snow Clan had shut up, who could kill Lin Feng? The Holy Emperor of the Tianxi dynasty wasn't that stupid. He grunted coldly and said, "If I kill you, everybody will make fun of me." "So, you were just joking?" smiled Lin Feng. Then he looked at the members of the Qin dynasty and observed, "The Qin dynasty said they wanted to kill me. Please attack if you want to kill me." The members of the Qin dynasty looked at the Snow Clan's people. They couldn't kill Lin Feng. They needed the Snow Clan's help to do so. The Snow Clan couldn't say anything. So the elders of the Qin dynasty were joking too. What about the others? What about those people who wanted to kill me? Many people grimaced. They would have never thought the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan would appear out of nowhere and get involved. Staying in the Holy Spirit dynasty is useless. "Let's leave," someone spoke up at that moment. The crowd was startled, their eyes twinkling. It was Empress Shi. Many people were surprised, but nodded agreement. The Snow Clan was under immense pressure and couldn't say anything. They had to leave the Holy Spirit dynasty and gather outside. "Good day." The members of the Qin dynasty stood up and started leaving. The members of the Snow Clan turned around and left too. Lin Feng watched them go coldly and said, "Those people will regroup and come back even stronger. Of course, they'll try to form a group, but other people won't dare touch you. They'll ask the Snow Clan to kill you. The others will try to resist the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan and the Holy Spirit dynasty," observed Yen Di. As they had said, those people left and talked about a strategy. They didn't go far from the Holy Spirit dynasty. So many strong cultivators had gathered and been humiliated. Could they leave like that without doing anything? Was that even possible? "Little boy, I can't do much. You'll have to rely on yourself," Yen Di sighed. Lin Feng remained silent and nodded that he understood the situation. Chapter 2045. Suffocating Hurricane. The Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty came over to Lin Feng and said, "Lin Feng, the Snow Clan wants to kill you. The others want to take advantage of that situation. It's not over." "I understand. Protect her and the child though," said Lin Feng calmly. The Holy Spirit Holy Emperor's eyes twinkled. He was relieved. They were different from Yen Di and the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan, who had come confident and at ease. They could kill anyone they wanted. Yen Di had dared act that way, but the Holy Spirit dynasty was different. The members of the Snow Clan and the dynasties understood that. Therefore, the Snow Clan feared Yen Di because Yen Di would have really killed Shui Ao. The Tianxi dynasty couldn't do anything against Yen Di either. Lin Xiongxing will become a holy emperor in the future. You don't need to worry about her. She's safe here. Even if you can't protect her, it doesn't matter, said the holy emperor. Besides, I will dispatch some strong cultivators of the Holy Spirit dynasty to follow you. That'll remove some pressure from your back. Leave the Snow Clan to me. Pay attention to the Moon Palace. The others won't dare do anything if the Snow Clan doesn't attack first, said Yen Di calmly. Everybody nodded. Then, the Holy Emperor waved his hand and some strong cultivators' silhouettes flickered and appeared behind him. Let's go out, said Lin Feng calmly. He started walking away. When they left the Holy Spirit dynasty, they sensed a terrifying qi. After Lin Feng and the others left, someone wearing a black cloak appeared, looking nervous. She watched Lin Feng leave and followed behind. Outside of the Holy Spirit dynasty, when the group saw Lin Feng's people, they were startled. It's Lin Feng, he took the initiative to come out. The Snow Clan will capture Lin Feng. The others block the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan. Someone ordered. However, Lin Feng's group of people didn't stop. They flew away at full speed. Chase them. Many incredibly strong cultivators took off at their full speed. The air was shrieking from their passage. Who are those people? They look so strong. How strong? Many incredible cultivators. Many people on the roads of Qitian Holy Town were astonished. It was a dangerous, thrilling sight. Today, the Holy Spirit dynasty organized a banquet for Lin Feng and the Snow Clan. Maybe that's them. Possibly. A great war is going to happen. The big group of people drew many people's attention. Lin Feng and the others arrived in a vast place and stopped, landing on the ground, which exploded under their feet. Pieces of stones flew in all directions. Clouds rolled back in the sky, and the winds became chaotic. The strong cultivators who were chasing them stopped and dispersed, then they surrounding Lin Feng and the others. Is the Holy Spirit dynasty still going to get involved? The Tianzi Holy Emperor demanded icily. The atmosphere was terribly oppressive. The Holy Spirit dynasty isn't going to get involved in the Snow Clan and Lin Feng's affairs. If anyone else wants to attack Lin Feng, they should think carefully, though. After all, we're not the only dynasty who has a holy emperor, said Holy Emperor Ling indifferently. His people were standing around Lin Feng too. The crowd watched the Snow Clan cultivators. An ice-cold chi began to creep through the air. In response, the cultivators next to Yan Di stepped forwards and released energies, which surrounded Shui Ao. The Snow Clan cultivators frowned and pulled long faces. The cultivators of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan said nothing at all. They just locked down Shui Ao. It was clear that if the Snow Clan dared attack Lin Feng, they would kill Shui Ao. They were saying to the Snow Clan, "Try and dare us." An invisible and intangible energy oppressed the members of the Snow Clan. They all hated Yan Di. However, they also couldn't help but admire his courage. They didn't dare attack Lin Feng. The Celestial Evolution Holy Clan had definitely offended the Snow Clan already, and would also definitely settle accounts with them at some point. They couldn't resort to saints either. The Snow Clan wouldn't do anything as long as the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan didn't kill their people. They couldn't gamble with Shui Ao's life to kill Lin Feng. The situation was chaotic, and they couldn't do much. The other strong cultivators started moving and stepped towards Lin Feng. However, the Holy Spirit dynasty's cultivators moved closer to Lin Feng to protect him. The Holy Spirit dynasty can't protect everyone today, said Empress Shi icily. She was beautiful, calm, and aloof. The cultivators around her also took a step towards Lin Feng. They were putting more pressure on Lin Feng. The silhouettes of cultivators flickered back and forth. The Holy Spirit dynasty's strong cultivators moved closer to Lin Feng and faced the members of the Moon Palace. Yan Di had said it was important to protect Lin Feng from the Moon Palace. A graceful silhouette appeared and stood behind Lin Feng. Lin Feng's eyes glittered as he turned around. He was startled to see who it was. The woman was wearing a black cloak and had a veil on her face, standing there calmly. So she's extremely strong, thought Lin Feng when he sensed her energies. Her chi was incredible. He was very surprised. The Holy Spirit dynasty had matched him with a very powerful woman. She looked gentle and sad, but actually she was incredibly strong. The pressure was incredible. It was almost as if time had stopped. Even the wind had stilled down. So many strong cultivators had gathered here, a great war would be tragic. Such military formations were rare in Qitian Holy Town. It was the first time in over 100 years. The strong cultivators who had come from far away were cautious and didn't dare get too close. They stayed well in the distance. If all these terrifying cultivators started fighting, they'd also sense something. Finally, a sharp chi sprang out. Someone took a step forwards. However, the crowd was surprised because it wasn't a strong cultivator, it was a cultivator of the top of the Huang Qi layer, Wang Jian. Someone needed to take the first step, and that person was Wang Jian. Lin Feng turned his head and regarded Wang Jian calmly. He had been waiting for those cultivators to make the first step. Would they dare attack him? Everybody was extremely vigilant. Wang Jian had come out, and he could kill Lin Feng because he was a cultivator of the Huang Qi layer like Lin Feng. Wang Jian was a genius of the Dark Night region. He controlled weapon Dao. His attacks were deadly. Wang Jian released sharp energies. The wind soughed and began to moan. The other strong cultivators remained motionless. Nobody else attacked. No matter what, Lin Feng had to die today. So many people had gathered, they all wanted something from Lin Feng. At Wang Jian's back, a gigantic spear appeared and pointed at Lin Feng. A terrifying qi appeared, a strong wind of intent streaming from it. Die! Shouted Wang Jiao explosively, and the gigantic spear drove towards Lin Feng. The golden lights streaked across the sky. Nobody knew how the situation was going to evolve. But the members of the dynasties and the ancient clans knew one thing: Lin Feng had to die. Chapter 2046, Killing and Absorbing. At Lin Feng's back, a gigantic sword appeared and pointed at the sky. Lin Feng stretched his hand and his gigantic sword sped to meet the gigantic spear. They collided hard enough to start a windstorm. Lin Feng took flight as a holy spirit appeared around him. He condensed wind strength to accelerate. Wang Jian grunted icily. He looked at Lin Feng and flashed forwards. Another flying spear appeared behind him, and at the same time, a blood spear appeared in his hand and armor appeared on his body. He wanted to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng's eyes went all black. Holy spirits materialized all around him. He punched out, a Devamara Kulpa holy spirit appearing around his fist. He had learned how to condense that holy spirit after becoming a high-level emperor. Lin Feng's fist was black and filled with explosive lightning. Lin Feng punched the flying spear and it exploded. The crowd remained silent, just watching and not getting involved. Their hearts were all pounding. Wang Jian's weapon Dao was impressive, his weapons explosive. But now Lin Feng had become a high-level emperor and he could destroy Wang Jian's weapons by simply punching them. Lin Feng's physical strength had become even more unbelievable. All those people wanted Lin Feng to die. He had been on the Holy Way stage, he was extremely talented. If they didn't kill him now, he would pose a threat to them in the future. Wang Jian saw Lin Feng charge towards him. A sharp death sword flashed towards him even faster. Sharp weapon qi rose up in the air, as Wang Jian turned into a gigantic cauldron. He could release any kind of weapon, offensive or defensive, and his weapons were almost indestructible. Lin Feng released Death Dao intent. Wang Jian's weapons also contained soul strength. Lin Feng sighed in admiration. Wang Jian was really talented, and his Dao intent was incredible. He was extremely strong. Who was stronger between him and Zhuoqing, who had the diamond indestructible king-type body? Lin Feng waved his hand and ancient imprints appeared all around him. Their invisible and intangible strength surrounded Wang Jian. The ancient imprints looked like other worlds. He couldn't escape. A blade appeared in Wang Jian's hands, he raised his hands and a powerful force filled the air. The incredible strength condensed and turned into an azure dragon, which roared out defiantly. Lacerate! The air howled around the dragon, it was able to cut anything. It broke free from the world of the living imprints. Wang Jian's weapons were indeed dangerous. However, after the world of the living imprints broke apart, Wang Jian saw a terrifying gigantic sword streak across the sky towards him. It seemed to contain all sorts of strength, including cursing strength. That sword had the level of the top of the Huang Qi layer, and could even kill ordinary great emperors. Wang Jian's armor glowed with power. At the same time, he also took out another powerful blade, which lit up in his hand. The sword arrived and destroyed the blade he raised to stop it, before continuing on, unimpeded. An ancient shield appeared in front of Wang Jian, but it was immediately cut into two and then exploded. Kacha! The sound was subtle, almost quiet. The sword cut into Wang Jian and through his armor. Qi exploded, and he was driven away, blood splashing as his clothes were torn apart. What a terrifying defense! Thought those watching. They were also astonished by Lin Feng's attack. His attacks were murderous. He had progressed a lot, and faster than Wang Jian. Wang Jian was already at the top of the Huangqi layer. He was going to become a great emperor sooner or later. Lin Feng was different though. When he was a medium-level emperor, he was already extremely strong, and he still had some ways to go before becoming a great emperor. Lin Feng was extremely talented. The fighting abilities between cultivators of the same level were wide-ranging, and the difference could be gigantic. Differences in terms of spells, talent, and so on could be substantial. If Lin Feng had been at the very top of the Huangqi layer too, he would have destroyed Wang Jian, even though he was also a genius. Wang Jian could only look at Lin Feng. He couldn't compete with him. Lin Feng kept destroying his weapons. The previous time he had fought against Lin Feng had still been a medium-level emperor. Die! Shouted Wang Jian explosively. He condensed terrifying weapon intent and shot it towards Lin Feng's head. However, a demon appeared to protect Lin Feng's brain. At the same time, Lin Feng condensed a sword Holy Spirit to merge into his body. He looked like a sword which could cut apart the universe. Wang Jian calmed down when he saw that. A 10,000 weapons pattern appeared behind him. His whole body turned into a sharp weapon. Weapon energies gathered around him. Lin Feng raised his hands, terrifying and sharp sword chi began to vibrate and hum. His body turned into a terrifying sword, and his soul into an indestructible sword. Desolate and ancient chi filled the air. The energies blotted out the sky. Lin Feng started advancing, condensing force in his feet. Each step was more and more powerful. That sharp sword felt like the last thing in the world. The crowd was nervous. Lin Feng was using the ancient holy techniques again, and he had become much stronger than the previous time when he had killed Prince Yan. Wang Jian was shocked and going crazy. He controlled weapon techniques, he had a weapon soul, he understood weapon Dao, he was a king of weapons, and his weapons were incredibly sharp. However, Lin Feng's sword attacks seemed better than his weapons. How could the king of weapons lose against someone else's weapon? Wang Jian continued advancing, his 10,000 weapons vibrating ever faster, and everything towards Lin Feng. The ground was shaking as if it were about to collapse. However, the gigantic sword broke the 10,000 weapons. When it neared him, he had already lost much of his power. He was oppressed. Oh no! Wang Jian felt hopeless. This was a holy technique, an oppressive holy technique. His attacks could kill great emperors, but Lin Feng could oppress him using holy techniques. He was going to die. A terrifying chi surrounded him. Wang Jian, great imperial weapon, shouted someone loudly. However, the gigantic sword was already descending from the sky, and Wang Jian was under too much pressure. He had the impression he was going to suffocate. He did all he could to protect himself as quickly as possible, the air exploding with his resistance. The gigantic sword crashed on him, and he shook violently, his weapon body breaking apart. Die! People from Wang Jian's clan surged forwards, but there were cultivators from the Holy Spirit dynasty in the sky to intercept them, protecting Lin Feng. Lin Feng returned to human form. He punched Wang Jian in the head, but Wang Jian's head didn't explode. A terrifying absorbing strength appeared around Lin Feng. 9 dragons appeared and absorbed Wang Jian. The weapon pattern was also absorbed immediately. Even Wang Jian's head was devoured. Die, die! The cultivators from Wang Jian's clan went insane when they saw the genius of their clan get killed like that. Lin Feng's soul was trembling, and a terrifying strength moved towards his head. He was being pushed down, but he kept his cool. A strong wind blew the pressure away as another cultivator protected Lin Feng. The ground shook violently. Finally, a great battle was about to burst out. They had chosen Wang Jian to fight against Lin Feng. No matter the winner, the results would have been terrifying in any case. Now, Lin Feng had won. He had killed Wang Jian, and the members of Wang Jian's clan were furious. "A great war is starting," blurted out someone in the distance. They had never seen such a terrifying gathering of strong cultivators. Lin Feng looked at all those cultivators, he looked furious and said, "You will all regret trying to kill me." "Old buddy, protect me," said Lin Feng, then he jumped forwards, and landed on the ground. A crater appeared, a mysterious strength appeared and surrounded him. The members of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan jumped into the crater to protect Lin Feng. Chapter 2047, I'm Your Ancestor. When they saw Lin Feng penetrate into the ground, the cultivators were stunned and said icily, "Be careful, he going to travel underground." "Yes, freeze the ground," said a strong cultivator of the Snow Clan. The strong cultivators of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan were protecting Lin Feng. The Snow Clan cultivators landed on the ground and punched the ground, which started freezing with a loud crackling. If Lin Feng was underground, he had to freeze too. He couldn't escape. "Holy Emperor Ling, if you don't leave, we'll attack the members of the Holy Spirit Dynasty," said someone icily. Maybe one dynasty would have feared the Holy Spirit Dynasty, but now they had formed an alliance. They didn't care about the Holy Spirit Dynasty anymore. Even if the Holy Spirit Dynasty wanted to get their revenge someday, they could call their families and that would be the Holy Spirit Dynasty's Judgment Day. Therefore, they didn't mind oppressing the Holy Spirit Dynasty together. Maybe they would manage to destroy one dynasty too. So many dynasties are joining hands to fight against our Holy Dynasty Prince? Ridiculous. Since it's that way, we don't need to be polite, don't worry. "We won't attack Lin Feng, but he won't escape today," said a voice icily. They had to stop the Holy Spirit Dynasty and the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan, so the Snow Clan would be able to focus on Lin Feng. The members of Wang Jian's clan wouldn't let Lin Feng off either. A terrifying strength began to build. The Great War burst out. The members of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan were all surrounding Lin Feng. They made some hand seals and many ancient imprints appeared. Marks appeared on the snowy ground. A golden palace appeared, lofty and indestructible. There was a boom as a powerful attack crashed onto the palace, but it remained unaffected. "Is that useful?" said an icy voice as a terrifying strength condensed. A gigantic spear descended from the sky, a destructive whirlwind around it. It crashed onto the palace and cracks appeared. "Crush him," said a few people at the same time. Destructive strength bombarded the palace. Finally, loud sounds spread in the air. The palace finally started breaking apart. However, at the same time, destructive strength blotted out the sky again. The members of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan are way too insolent. They must die. Die. The strong cultivators of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan were less numerous than the others. They couldn't possibly resist for too long. Lin Feng was in the ground. There was someone watching all those strong cultivators at the entrance of the hole he was in. A new shattering sound spread in the air. The ice which obstructed the hole broke apart and ancient qi rose up into the air. What's going on? The Holy Spirit Dynasty's person who was protecting everyone was startled. Some qi was emerging from the hole. She was shocked. Her soul felt a severe pressure. It was a truly ancient qi. "Is that Lin Feng's qi?" She was astonished. At that moment, the members of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan moved aside. 3 people surrounded the members of the Holy Spirit Dynasty. One of them punched out at them. The atmosphere seemed like it was going to break apart. The Holy Emperor's concubine was stupefied. She jumped into the incoming hurricane, waving her hand and breaking the wind apart. However, at that moment, a gigantic hand grabbed towards her. She was being attacked from every side. The concubine suddenly turned into a light beam, moving her hands rapidly. However, she was still chased from the hole. Someone smiled coldly in the sky and dove towards the hole at full speed. Gotcha! The hole was being bombarded and grew wider. It became gigantic, and Lin Feng should have appeared in their field of vision. When the ice completely broke apart, the strong cultivator was astonished. He didn't see Lin Feng at all. He saw a gigantic creature. It was a giant, 3 zhang tall. He was standing there, as tall as a building. His qi was ancient and becoming stronger and stronger. Force kept appearing and condensing around him, turning into a hurricane of power. The descending cultivator above the giant was astonished and started to shake. He couldn't oppress that giant and quickly stopped descending. The others were astonished too. Why wasn't it Lin Feng? Why was there a giant? They had seen Lin Feng go into the hole. Where was he now? Who or what was that giant? At that moment, the giant raised his head, and light beams emerged from his eyes. He looked up at the cultivator in the sky above him, which made the man shiver even more. It was an ancient Peerless cultivator, and his eyes were burning with violence. The giant jumped out of the hole. His feet were gigantic. He grabbed towards the cultivator above him. The cultivator above the giant was a celestial emperor, but he didn't feel like fighting against a giant, so he tried to escape. However, the giant stretched out his hand and a gigantic imprint appeared, oppressing the whole region. The celestial emperor shouted desperately that attack had oppressed everyone. At the same time, the giant stretched out his gigantic hand and grabbed the cultivator. The cultivator had the impression he was going to suffocate. No! The celestial emperor shouted furiously. He was going crazy. The giant had grabbed him and now he couldn't move anymore. At that moment, the atmosphere became eerily calm again. The giant looked like a saint. Was he a saint from the ancient days? No, that's... The Qin dynasty's holy emperor was astonished and staring at the giant. That Qi, the giant, impossible. The giant was holding the celestial emperor, who looked tiny in comparison with him. He was desperate and shouted, "Master, I didn't do anything. Please forgive me." "I thought you wanted to kill me," said the giant calmly. The crowd started shaking violently. The voice was completely different, but that was Lin Feng's way of speaking. How is that possible? Some people couldn't believe their eyes and trembled. Lin Feng was extraordinary, but how could he control a giant's body? That wasn't Lin Feng's body. That was the body of an ancient saint. Lin Feng had definitely obtained it in the saint's world. But how? How could Lin Feng control a giant's body? The holy emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty was astonished too. Lin Feng could control a saint's body? They had no explanation. Even if Lin Feng could control such a body, where did the qi and strength come from? They didn't understand. A loud shout spread in the air. The giant crushed the cultivator in his hand. His muscles, bones, flesh started crackling. The pain was unbearable. They couldn't imagine how painful it was. A soul emerged. The cultivator wanted to escape, but the giant immediately grabbed the soul too. He crushed the body and the soul of the cultivator. He had destroyed a celestial emperor that easily. "It's a saint, it's a peerless cultivator," said someone in astonishment and terror. The Qin holy emperor looked at the giant and asked, "Are you really Lin Feng?" The giant turned around and looked at the Qin holy emperor of the Qin dynasty. The holy emperor didn't flee. He was staring at the giant as he said, "I'm the holy emperor of the Qin dynasty, Qin Shan's descendant." He was convinced that Lin Feng couldn't control such a body without a saint's help. The giant raised his hands, but the holy emperor continued staring at him. He clenched his fists. People had cold sweats, worried for the Qin holy emperor. "Holy emperor!" shouted a strong cultivator of the Qin dynasty. However, the Qin holy emperor remained motionless. Suddenly, he was forced away as the giant said icily, "I'm your ancestor, Qin Shan." Chapter 2048, Change, "I'm your ancestor, Qin Shan," said the voice, which made Qin Gan tremble. The giant grabbed Qin Gan and threw him away. The crowd was astonished, especially the members of the Qin dynasty. At that moment, they all pulled a long face. They were staring at the giant in confusion. Their ancestor? The Qin dynasty's ancestor wasn't dead? The giant really had the body of a saint, nobody had doubts about that. He looked majestic, he was as tall as a building. Was that really their ancestor? If that was the case, if he hadn't died, then the Qin dynasty was going to become the ruler of Qitian Holy Town and even the region of the dynasty. Those days, in the Dark Night region, even holy emperors were rare, and it was almost impossible to see a saint, but nobody had doubts that they existed. The saints couldn't all be dead. The crowd was convinced that nobody could be stronger than a saint. The giant threw Qin Gan away. Qin Gan coughed up blood. He wasn't angry, however, he was touched and moved. It was his ancestor, a saint, and the saint was incredibly strong. He could have popped his skull with his fingers. He started thinking that in that body, there was Lin Feng's consciousness as well as Qin Shan. Lin Feng couldn't possibly be as strong as a saint. "Ancestor," said Qin Gan, bowing before the giant. Everybody was astonished. Nobody understood what was going on. They had been chasing Lin Feng. Now, a saint had appeared, and it was the ancestor of the Qin dynasty. Qin Gan believed it himself. "Ancestor." The strong cultivators of the Qin dynasty all bowed respectfully before their ancestor. The giant's eyes twinkled. Lin Feng was the main controller. Qin Shan's thread of consciousness was just helping. Lin Feng was really using the giant's body. He felt perfect inside, actually. His soul wasn't shaking even the slightest iota. The body was very responsive. The members of the Qin dynasty were Qin Shan's descendants. Lin Feng was controlling their ancestors' strength at that moment. Lin Feng couldn't kill the members of the Qin dynasty using Qin Shan's body. That would have been extremely disrespectful. Therefore Lin Feng just wanted to teach Qin Gan a good lesson. He glanced at all the members of the Qin dynasty but remained silent. However, they all felt under pressure because of that silence. The members of the Snow clan had already gathered together, wanting to protect Shui Ao. An old man said using telepathy, "Get ready to leave." They all understood that they couldn't face a saint. The members of the Snow clan weren't the only ones who wanted to leave. The others who had come to surround Lin Feng did the same. Therefore, when the giant looked at the members of the Snow clan, it was as if something was about to explode. Snowflakes appeared everywhere, and the members of the Snow clan disappeared into the snow. A terrifying strength filled the air. When the snowflakes disappeared, the giant saw that the members of the Snow clan were gone. Everybody realized that Lin Feng wasn't going to die today. Without the Snow clan's help, nobody could do anything against him. The Moon Palace's members also released golden lights and disappeared inside, leaving without hesitation. The saint was there after all. "Let's go." Progressively, more and more people started leaving. However, at that moment, the giant looked at the members of Wang Jian's clan and a terrifying strength rose up. "Go? You came here, you think you can leave that easily?" said the giant icily, yet mockingly. The air hummed. The giant took a step, and a second one, and a third one. With each step, he could move 10,000 meters. "Block!" shouted the members of Wang Jian's clan, releasing their qi. They all turned into swords and moved as fast as they could. However, at the same time, the giant followed them and condensed an ancient qi. The giant took out a gigantic ancient bell and rang it once. Many people coughed up blood instantly. At the same time, the swords had the feeling they were stuck in moving sand. The giant took another step and appeared in front of those people. A terrible strength seemed to lock the air in place. Their muscles stiffened. The terrifying ancient qi was absorbing the force of the earth and sky. Those who were trying to escape struggled futilely. "No!" shouted someone in panic. The gigantic bell crushed cultivators one after another. Their bodies exploded, and their souls dispersed. Someone managed to dodge and moved away at full speed. It was a Saint Emperor. Lin Feng ignored him. He knew he could control the body perfectly, but he couldn't catch up with him, otherwise he could have crushed him. A Saint Emperor was nothing in front of a saint. Escaping would have been impossible. Shiju Lao Xian drank booze while crushing Saint Emperors. The other members of Wang Jian's clan didn't manage to escape and all died there. Then, the giant looked back at the others and realized that everybody was far away. Celestial emperors were indeed extremely fast. Of course, the members of the Qin dynasty were still there. They raised their heads and all looked at their ancestor. "Someone will have to pay the price today," said the giant indifferently. He hadn't talked very loudly, but people in the distance heard him and shivered. Who was going to pay the price? The dynasties and some ancient holy clans had sent people to kill Lin Feng. Who was responsible for that? Lin Feng had used the saint's help. He wouldn't be able to do it again for a long time, and maybe he would never have such an opportunity again. He had to cherish that opportunity. Could he just chase those people? Would they stop harassing him in the future? He had to be crazy. He had to make Qitian Holy Town shake violently. They had to remember him forever. He had to teach them a good lesson. Dong. The giant made another step. The The crowd shook violently. Where was the giant going? The members of the Qin dynasty were stupefied. They gathered behind Qin Gong and said, "Holy Emperor, is that really our ancestor?" "Of course. Do you think we would be able to stay here and stay safe and sound otherwise?" said Qin Gong. He had no doubts anymore. The only problem was that their ancestor liked Lin Feng too. The Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty took a deep breath. He was astonished at a saint. He had never thought Lin Feng would be helped by a saint. Yendi remained calm and composed. He laughed and said, "Little boy, have you seen that? That's my disciple. Soon he'll be as famous as me." When Fu Hei heard Yendi, he thought, since when is master famous? And that was a saint. The imperial concubine looked at the giant in the distance. She was trembling. Where was Lin Feng? She turned around and looked at the hole again. The members of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan, including Yendi, were still there. That Taoist priest was certifiably crazy, but he was also enigmatic and unfathomable. Even though she didn't know what had happened to Lin Feng, she knew that he had secrets. She just stood there calmly and watched. In the Tianxi dynasty, the ground kept shaking violently. People raised their heads and looked at the giant in astonishment. What was going on? Why was the giant coming to the Tianxi dynasty? No cultivator from their dynasty could compete with the giant. Finally, when the giant arrived, Holy Emperor Tianxi landed in front of it, his face deathly pale. He looked much older suddenly. The saint had chosen their Tianxi dynasty to vent his anger? "Master, what are you going to do?" asked Holy Emperor Tianxi. He didn't know what to do against such a cultivator. They were going to die if nobody helped them. He already didn't dare fight against Shui Ao, and in front of a saint, he was a nobody. "The Tianxi dynasty needs to change their holy emperor," said the giant calmly. He sounded like he was talking about something ordinary. With one simple sentence, he could decide a holy emperor's fate. The holy emperor had to be changed. Chapter 2049. Consequences. Holy Emperor Tianxi looked up at the giant, terrified. He had followed the Snow clan to kill Lin Feng, and now the consequences were tragic. He was facing a saint who was telling him his time as Holy Emperor was done. He sounded calm and aloof, but Holy Emperor Tianxi understood that he was probably going to die. So many dynasties had joined hands to kill Lin Feng, and Lin Feng had in return summoned a saint. For Holy Emperor Tianxi, this was a real tragedy. If the saint was furious, he could make him fall and turn to dust. He knew the saint had that power. How tragic, but it was reality. "I want to know whether you're Lin Feng or Qin Shan," said Holy Emperor Tianxi. He was going to die, so he wanted to know who was going to kill him. "I'm Lin Feng and the saint," said the giant emotionlessly. Holy Emperor Tianxi nodded and gave all his possessions to an old man who was standing next to him. "Holy Emperor," said the old man, his face stiff. "Uncle, you can be the Holy Emperor for now. Chen and Piao Shui have potential. In the future you can choose them, or someone else," said Holy Emperor Tianxi. The old man next to him looked extremely sad. "All right, even without me, the Tianxi dynasty will remain the Tianxi dynasty," said Holy Emperor Tianxi with a sad smile. He walked up to Lin Feng and said, "You want to kill me for what happened today, you're right, but no matter what, you will end up like me, sooner or later." Then, Holy Emperor Tianxi closed his eyes, ready to meet death. Everyone remained silent in the Tianxi dynasty. The cultivators gathered there all stared at the giant. The giant raised his hand and brought it down. Even when he was crushed, the members of the Tianxi dynasty could scarcely believe it had really happened. Lin Feng left the Tianxi dynasty. He couldn't stay like this much longer. He had killed the holy emperor of the Tianxi dynasty to prove to everyone that they couldn't do whatever they wished to him. Everybody in Qitian Holy Town would now understand that. As Lin Feng had expected, when Holy Emperor Tianxi died, the news quickly spread everywhere in Qitian Holy Town. Nobody said anything, everyone held their tongues. There was too much pressure. The dynasties were too scared. Their holy emperors, elders, and families could die. Holy Emperor Tianxi had died. Nobody talked about Lin Feng anymore, saying Lin Feng's name became taboo. All of that was due to the saint's existence. People in Qitian Holy Town realized how strong saints were. Of course, many people felt even more determined. They all wanted to transcend worldliness, attain holiness, and look at saint emperors like insects. Lin Feng went back to the battlefield and sank back into the ground. His holy qi dispersed and disappeared. In the ground, Lin Feng went into his spirit's world and left the saint's body. He had the sensation his head was going to explode. He felt extremely weak and sick. With the strength of the Huang Qi layer, using a saint's body was exhausting. Without the saint's consciousness, he couldn't have done it. Yan Di was waiting on the ground outside. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the hole. He was wondering whether taking Lin Feng away was the best solution or not. Up in the sky, two people were seated on a cloud, lights gathered around them. They had seen everything. They made an odd couple. One of them had an alcohol gourd and looked nonchalant. The other one was a beautiful woman. "Teacher, will he be all right?" the woman asked the drunkard. The drunkard didn't reply hastily. He took a sip of liquor and said, "No problem for now. But in the future, it will be a huge problem." "What do you mean?" "Lin Feng is facing many problems. For now, nobody in Qitian Holy Town will dare attack him, but what about the Snow Clan?" said Shiju Lao Xian calmly. The woman was startled. "Teacher, would the Snow Clan dare send a saint to fight against Lin Feng?" Qing Feng couldn't imagine what it meant to be a peerless cultivator. "You are young. You don't understand how priceless a saint's body is, especially a body which still has a consciousness," said Shiju Lao Xian indifferently. He understood precisely how Lin Feng had used a saint's strength. He knew that the Snow Clan's members also understood that. "Lin Feng shouldn't have used the saint's strength?" asked Qing Feng. She was stunned. He would have died if he hadn't. Lin Feng didn't do anything wrong, but the real problem is that no matter what, he didn't have any good option, said Shiju Lao Xian calmly. He took another sip, looking detached from worldly affairs. "Teacher, why?" asked Qing Feng, staring at Shiju Lao Xian. "Why I didn't help Lin Feng before he used the saint's body?" asked Shiju Lao Xian with a smile. Qing Feng said nothing, but Shiju Lao Xian tapped her head and smiled. "If I helped and protected each time he has a problem, how could he become stronger? Besides, I'm not with him all the time. He has to find solutions to his problems himself. All peerless cultivators have to go through uncountable hardships to grow strong." "What you mean is that Lin Feng will become a peerless cultivator?" deduced Qing Feng, her eyes twinkling. Her teacher thought highly of Lin Feng. "I never said that." Shiju Lao Xian grinned. "However, having used the strength of a saint is something amazing for him. It has many advantages." "Teacher, what if a saint of the Snow Clan attacks Lin Feng?" "He will definitely die," Qing Feng asked him. "All right, for my good disciple, I'll offend the Snow Clan only once," said Shiju Lao Xian, shaking his head. Qing Feng looked at him strangely and whispered, "What does that have to do with me?" Well then, I'd be happy to have a rest." "I'm not getting involved then," said Shiju Lao Xian, laying down on the cloud and continuing to drink. "Teacher," said Qing Feng, rolling her eyes and pouting. Shiju Lao Xian just laughed and said, all right, don't worry. I'll help him one last time, but I'll offend the Snow Clan and it won't be fun in the future. In the future, he'll have to rely on himself." "Thank you very much, teacher," smiled Qing Feng. Since her teacher had said he would help Lin Feng, he was going to help. Lin Feng's soul strength moved back into his body and he began to slowly recover. His soul didn't shake violently anymore. Then he came out of the hole. "Little boy, you must feel great, right?" chortled Yan Di, smiling at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was bemused. "Feel great?" His soul had almost exploded. Using the saint's strength was incredibly dangerous. "I want to go back to the Holy Spirit dynasty." "I think it's over," said Lin Feng. However, the old Taoist priest shook his head and said, "You can't go back to the Holy Spirit dynasty." "Why?" Lin Feng asked. "You must think about the consequences now," said Yan Di. Lin Feng didn't understand. "Who will dare attack me now?" asked Lin Feng. "The Snow Clan saint," explained Yan Di. Lin Feng frowned and remained silent for a few seconds. "If a saint really wants to attack me, where should I go?" And will the Snow Clan really send a saint to fight against me? Alright, go back to the Holy Spirit Dynasty then, said Yendi. Lin Feng shook his head. He didn't understand. Go back. If you have to face him, you'll face him sooner or later, said the old Taoist priest. Then he said, good heavens, Lin Feng didn't understand. If the Snow Clan really sent a saint to fight against him, he could activate the memories he had received from the diviner of the Destiny Shrine and say he was from the Destiny Shrine. Chapter 2050. The evil influence remains. He was seated cross-legged on a blue Uptala lotus in his spirit world. Cosmic strength kept rotating around him. There were the cosmic energies of the 10,000 things of creation. Without the heavenly grace ancient tree and the blue Uptala lotus, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to progress so fast in terms of cosmic energies. Lin Feng was thoughtful. Zun cultivators break through to the Huangqi layer when their force is multiplied by 1,000. After that, their body fuses together with the earth and sky around them. However, the real force of the earth and sky is unlimited. When saints move, force keeps condensing around them and hurricanes appear around them. The strength of the earth and sky is like their own. They just have to move their hand to use it, muttered Lin Feng. After controlling the saint's body, that was the feeling he had experienced. Saints had no limits. It had been a wonderful sensation. They could also control people's souls. When he controlled his own body, he had no problems and there was nothing unpleasant. He was in harmony with his own body. But when he controlled the saint's body, Lin Feng realized how incredible a human soul was. He needed to become so much stronger to become a peerless cultivator. They belonged to a completely different world. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised because he had been cleansed 3 times by Devamara Kulpa strength as a high-level emperor, and he had become stronger after controlling the saint's body. However, after recovering, his demon skills had become stronger yet again. After that, Lin Feng went back into the demon pond and cleansed his Devamara physical body. His physical body was becoming ever more terrifying. Lin Feng knew that because he had controlled the saint's body, it was easier for him to become physically stronger. He felt even better physically. His soul and body had become stronger. Lin Feng was even more determined and felt even more optimistic about his future. He kept progressing quickly. At the same cultivation level, nobody could compete with him in terms of physical strength. He was seated cross-legged on the blue Uptala lotus, and after that, a weapon pattern appeared behind him. He had absorbed it with his spirit and had it mix with his blood. His qi had finally calmed down. Meng Qing was seated not far from him and smiled. Little Zhetian, look at your father, he's doing so much for you, come out quickly. He will also come out quickly. When Meng Qing heard Lin Feng, she smiled. Lin Feng stopped practicing cultivation and landed next to Meng Qing. He touched Meng Qing's belly and sensed something move. Little boy, listen to your mom or I'll scold you when you come out, smiled Lin Feng. Meng Qing laughed. Don't scare our baby, otherwise he won't come out. Lin Feng, will the Snow Clan attack you? Meng Qing asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng initially didn't intend to tell Meng Qing anything, but she had to know. Lin Feng had just told her a few things, he couldn't hide the truth from her, and her perception was quite acute. The Snow Clan was her native clan, and known to be powerful. Don't worry, you can rely on me. Lin Feng smiled. Meng Qing put her hands on Lin Feng's face and looked at him gently. If you can't survive, I can go back to the Snow Clan. Your safety is the most important thing. I have a celestial king-type body, the Snow Clan won't do anything to me. Silly girl, said Lin Feng, caressing Meng Qing's cheeks in return. He kissed her on the lips. They both smiled, understanding each other without talking. Lin Feng, do you think Lin Zhetian will look more like you or me? Meng Qing put her head on Lin Feng's shoulder and smiled. It would be better if he looked more like you, replied Lin Feng cheerfully. Meng Qing laughed and wondered, will he be like you? Will he travel all around the world and offend many women like you? Lin Feng laughed and said, wouldn't it be great? Aren't you afraid that it could affect his cultivation? Some people are determined. Some people are solitary too. Some people are confident and at ease, Other people solely focus on cultivation. It always depends on people. Lin Feng was different from many people. He smiled. Look at those holy emperors and holy concubines. You envy them? Asked Meng Qing. My wife is like a celestial being, how could I envy them? Other people envy me. Lin Feng laughed back. He knew that Meng Qing was joking. They were two people who were really in love. They had gone through so much together. However, some people didn't intend to let Lin Feng off. Some Snow Clan cultivators landed in the Tianxi dynasty, where there was a new holy emperor, the previous holy emperor's uncle. When he saw them, he didn't look as happy as in the past. We suffered great losses, what do you want now? Asked the holy emperor impolitely. The Snow Clan cultivators frowned and one of them said, Our saint is on his way, he'll arrive within 3 days. The holy emperor was petrified and his heart started pounding. A saint? The Snow Clan had said one sentence and it sufficed to scare them to death. A saint from the Snow Clan was going to come to town? So what does that have to do with the Tianxi dynasty? Asked the new holy emperor. He tried to remain calm and composed. Last time, the dynasties and the ancient holy clans surrounded Lin Feng and then let him escape. That won't happen a second time, said the Snow Clan cultivator calmly. Let him escape? The holy emperor smiled coldly. The Snow Clan was really shameless. The Snow Clan had fled first. A second time? You mean that we'll surround Lin Feng again? Asked the holy emperor, not understanding their point of view. Indeed, said the strong cultivator of the Snow Clan. He didn't realize the holy emperor found him ridiculous, and just nodded calmly. The holy emperor said coldly, Since your saint is coming, why do we need to waste time? We need Lin Feng to use the saint's body. And we need you to deal with Lin Feng, you understand? Asked the Snow Clan cultivator. The holy emperor was stupefied. The Snow Clan wanted Lin Feng to use the saint's body again, and give them a reason to send a saint. Why doesn't the saint attack directly? Why do you need someone to provoke the situation? Asked the holy emperor. If our saint attacks Lin Feng directly, he won't use the saint's body directly, explained the Snow Clan cultivator indifferently before starting to walk away. Some strong cultivators from my clan have already gone to the other dynasties and ancient holy clans. Of course, you can refuse, but the consequences will be hee-hee, said that man with a laugh before leaving. The holy emperor was furious. The Tianxi dynasty's holy emperor had already died, and now they wanted to start again. I will inform you when the right time comes. You can decide whether you want to join or not then, the Snow Clan cultivator said while leaving. The holy emperor was furious, but could he refuse? Chapter 2051. Lin Feng is dead. Qin Gan from the Qin dynasty arrived in the Holy Spirit dynasty. He wanted to see Lin Feng. Since there was a new connection between them thanks to the saint, the Holy Spirit dynasty accepted. What do you want from me, Qin Gan? Asked Lin Feng to the holy emperor calmly. I came for the saint's body. I want you to give us his body back, Qin Gan said coldly. However, Lin Feng merely grunted icily. Qin Gan wasn't furious, but said, A short time ago, the Snow Clan, the dynasties, and the ancient holy clans wanted to kill you. While the Holy Spirit dynasty protected you, the most important thing is that the Snow Clan sent a saint here for you. I don't want my ancestor's body to end up in the Snow Clan's hands. Qin Shan is our ancestor. When Lin Feng heard him, he was surprised. A saint from the Snow Clan was coming for him? Yan Di was right. If I give you the body, how can you protect it? Said Lin Feng icily. I came here secretly. Give me the body and escape from Chi Tian Holy Town. The farther you go, the better. We won't say anything. That way, it would be perfect for both of us, Qin Gan said to Lin Feng. No need. If the saint comes, we'll see what happens, replied Lin Feng evenly. Please leave, Holy Emperor Qin. A terrifying strength surrounded Lin Feng, and his blood almost stopped flowing. However, when Qin Gan released that strength, another qi rolled in from outside of the courtyard and surrounded him. Watch your words, said a voice dismissively. Qin Gan didn't recall his qi. He looked at Lin Feng and said, You want my ancestor to be stolen by the Snow Clan? If you're brave, prevent them from doing so. If you have no balls, then stop talking shit. Do you want me to call your ancestor again and make him slap your face again? Said Lin Feng icily and disdainfully. Qin Gan remained silent and grunted icily, before rising to leave. While leaving, he said, "Hurry and leave, or you won't have any chance to survive." After Qin Gan left, silhouettes flickered. The Holy Emperor of the Holy Spirit Dynasty and Yen Di landed in front of Lin Feng. "I was right, you see? The Snow Clan sent a saint, they're cruel," said Yen Di. "Old buddy, do you have any solution to propose?" asked Lin Feng to Yen Di. "Even though I am an incredibly strong cultivator, a saint is ultimately stronger than me. They can make the world collapse. They have transcended worldliness and attained holiness. I'm powerless when facing a saint," said Yen Di, shaking his head. Lin Feng was mortified and said, "The other day, you didn't tell me that." This bastard, did he want Lin Feng to die? Lin Feng couldn't deal with a saint. Even if he controlled a saint's body, it wouldn't work. Now the saint was sleeping anyway, so Lin Feng couldn't even use his body. "You won't die though," said Yen Di patiently. "And so many people are watching you, you can't really escape. If the Snow Clan's saint wants to find you, he'll find you easily." Lin Feng remained silent. What could he do against a saint? Champion University, the Holy Spirit Dynasty, everyone he knew, nobody could help him. Everybody looked pensive, including the Holy Spirit Holy Emperor. Lin Feng had shaken up the whole town. He had a saint's body, he had killed a holy emperor, he had made all the dynasties and the ancient holy clans shut up, and now, after a short time, he was in danger again. It was different this time, however, it was a saint who was looking for him. The Celestial Evolution Holy Clan and the Holy Spirit Dynasty couldn't protect him anymore. He was doomed, it seemed. Today, the Holy Spirit Dynasty was calm. The next day, a bright light appeared in the distance and illuminated the ancient town. The members of the Holy Spirit Dynasty were terrified. Many people gathered and moved together. They had to be vigilant. Lin Feng was going to die. He had survived the first battle, but this time, it was different. Many people wanted to kill Lin Feng and steal his treasures. The Holy Spirit Dynasty didn't organize a banquet this time, they just remained silent. People from Qitian Holy Town hadn't thought the situation would deteriorate so badly. The Tianxi Dynasty, the Great Desert Dynasty, the Ancient Jade Dynasty and the Qin Dynasty joined hands. The Qin Dynasty still wanted Lin Feng to die, even though Qin Gan had secretly gone to see Lin Feng. Apart from the dynasties, many other people had gathered, including some groups which weren't from Qitian Holy Town. Lin Feng hadn't thought that the Ji clan and the Pei clan would also come. The historical remains had appeared in the Saints' world. Almost all the groups of the Dark Knight region knew about what was going on there and were attracted. The Pei clan and the Ji clan had been paying attention to Lin Feng the whole time, he just hadn't known about it. Snowflakes appeared in the Holy Spirit Dynasty. The pressure was terrifying. Some people started panicking as it developed into a blizzard. It was extremely calm, though. Many people had fled to small worlds. When a saint fought, people around could easily be killed. At the same time, some silhouettes flickered and appeared where Lin Feng was. "Since you're all here, just appear," said a loud voice. Everybody in the Holy Spirit Dynasty heard the voice. At that moment, the strong cultivators of the dynasty sensed an oppressive energy. It was even more dangerous than the previous time. Those who had failed the previous time weren't going to accept losing a second time. The atmosphere started trembling, and an earthquake started in the Holy Spirit Dynasty. Many buildings started collapsing, adding to the terror. Lin Feng raised his head, sensing the invisible and intangible strength. The strong cultivators around him formed a curtain so he was under less pressure. "It's going to be worse than I thought," said the old Taoist priest indifferently. Lin Feng could also sense how terrifying the pressure was. "Last time, they failed and I killed a few great emperors. I even killed the holy emperor of the Tianxi dynasty. Now, they're going crazy. Even without the saint, they are so furious that they could win," Lin Feng mused calmly. Yen Di shook his head. The Holy Spirit Dynasty and the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan couldn't do much. Strong cultivators appeared all around. Yendi glanced at those people. He didn't understand. The Snow Clan had sent a saint. Why did they need so many people? And where was the saint? A terrifying sword appeared in the sky, surrounded by millions of arcs of lightning. It instantly crushed the curtain of energies created by all the strong cultivators. Lin Feng sensed the terrifying pressure and was driven to his knees. "Lin Feng, you must die today," stated someone icily. He jumped forwards and some power bombarded Lin Feng's will. "Lin Feng, you're insolent. You dared kill a holy emperor. Qi Tian Holy Town disowns you," shouted a celestial being of the ancient Jade dynasty. More strength attacked Lin Feng, and he coughed with pain. He was injured now. It was easy for Saint Emperors and Celestial Emperors to injure him. "They want me to use the saint's body. The saint is already here." Lin Feng realized, raising his head. It kept snowing. An old man had appeared high up in the sky, looking aloof and arrogant. He was as white as snow. He was the saint of the Snow Clan. Chapter 2052. Truth, Holy Spirit Dynasty, Give Up. "Lin Feng is going to die," said the Holy Emperor of the Tianxi Dynasty. Lin Feng had killed their previous Holy Emperor. It was a tragedy that had to be avenged. Holy Emperor Ling glanced around, the pressure on him boiling now. A strong cultivator stepped forward and terrifying fissures appeared, as if the sky were about to collapse. A light beam appeared, followed by a destructive hand. Sand exploded all around and turned into a dragon. It looked like the end of the world. Lin Feng couldn't stand up anymore. His bones kept crackling. He had the sensation the world had fallen onto his back. There wasn't going to be a second failure. "Bunch of bastards. I can't stand this," said Yendi. He had cast a deployment spell, but it was already broken. The pressure was so immense that it had destroyed his deployment spell. A silhouette landed in front of Lin Feng. She was wearing a black cloak and looked graceful. She looked much taller at the moment. At her back, a gigantic pitch-black silhouette appeared as she sat down cross-legged. Holy spirits appeared and started rotating about them. "Thank you very much," said Lin Feng. That woman looked fragile, but she was protecting him. He felt moved and touched. Even though they had made love, they weren't close. "Umph." Up in the sky, people grunted icily. Some strong cultivators continued closing in. The pressure was getting worse and worse. What were the Holy Spirit Dynasty and the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan going to do against so many people? Their protective energies kept breaking apart, and qi spilled over. Energies kept reaching Lin Feng. If anyone tried to protect Lin Feng, they were going to kill them. Destructive Tao. Lin Feng frowned and saw an old man who was releasing destructive Tao. Lin Feng raised his head. There were many holy spirits around the woman. She reacted instantly. The destructive Tao reached one of her holy spirits and destroyed it. "You can come down, they won't kill me," said Lin Feng. "But you'll get injured." "That would be a catastrophe," the woman answered warmly. Lin Feng didn't understand why she was being so kind to him. "If you get injured, it would be worse," Lin Feng replied calmly. "I won't." "Don't worry," said the woman hoarsely. Lin Feng frowned. This woman was from the Holy Spirit Dynasty. He couldn't know her from someone else, but on the other hand, he had a familiar feeling. She sounded even more familiar than before. Did they know each other from somewhere else? "Who are you?" asked Lin Feng. He had doubts for the first time. The woman shivered and replied, "I'm Lin Qiongxing's mother." Lin Feng remained silent. He didn't ask more, especially now that he was facing a huge danger. Cultivators focus on cultivation not because they're obsessives, but also because they want to protect themselves and their families, thought Lin Feng. That was life in the cultivation world. In the sky, the defensive energies of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan and the Holy Spirit Dynasty kept crackling. The members of the Snow Clan had also arrived. They were in the sky above Lin Feng and looking down at him icily. They had to destroy the defenses first, and then they'd oppress Lin Feng. "Kill that woman," said an old man of the Snow Clan icily. The pressure became even worse. rumbling in the air and shaking the ground. The woman was being targeted. A snowy sword descended from the sky. A Holy Spirit cultivator blocked it. However, someone also flitted up and attacked by surprise. The woman was startled. All the silhouettes around her condensed and turned into a gigantic sword, as the air kept erupting from the conflict of energies. "The Snow Clan Saint is not showing up?" wondered Yen Di. He was surprised. He hadn't expected the Snow Clan would force the others to surround Lin Feng. At that moment, two people were together up in the sky. They were seated and looked calm. One of them was Snowy White, the saint from the Snow Clan. The other person was Shiju Lao Xian. They were watching the events below, not fighting. At the same time, some crackling sounds spread in the air. Mountains exploded. The strong cultivator of the Snow Clan said, "Many people think you're a half-saint. I wouldn't have thought you would have become a real one. But I won't give up today." He obtained the saint. It should be his. "You're a saint, how could you fight against a kid?" Shiju Lao Xian rebutted calmly. "That boy offended the Snow Clan. He must die. And the body will be ours. I can't prevent you from killing him and stealing the saint's body. However, if you kill that boy, be prepared to see some of your young cultivators die too, including people who have king-type bodies," said Shiju Lao Xian, casually drinking some liquor. He was angry though. What had Lin Feng done to the Snow Clan? "You're threatening me?" demanded the saint of the Snow Clan. Everything started freezing around them. "You just said you were going to kill that little boy. You're threatening me." "I'm not threatening you," said Shiju Lao Xian calmly. He didn't look angry, but the air began to thicken around him. Some fissures appeared in the ice around them. They both remained silent. The atmosphere was explosive. The energies were invisible and intangible. The woman protecting Lin Feng kept being attacked. Even if the Holy Spirit dynasty's strong cultivators did all they could to protect him, they wouldn't be able to hold out for very long. That's enough. When Lin Feng saw the woman get attacked unceasingly, he rose up into the air. 81 dragons appeared in the sky. Everybody looked at Lin Feng, waiting. Someone was going to kill him now. The crowd was startled, because even if some people had come because they wanted Lin Feng to die, the ultimate goal was still to let the Snow Clan kill him. "Go down." Two cultivators descended from the sky and grabbed Lin Feng. He couldn't move anymore. Lin Feng was helpless, surrounded by too many people. Some attacks moved towards the Cyan Dragons, but the Cyan Dragons destroyed them. Ji Clan. Lin Feng was agonized and furious. The woman suddenly turned into an illusion and rose up to start attacking the Cyan Dragons. She coughed up blood, and her veil fell down, soaked with blood. Lin Feng's heart twitched. "How valiant!" "Let me go," shouted Lin Feng furiously. He wanted to break free from the two people. The woman kept attacking the Cyan Dragons. She was doing all she could. She kept coughing blood. Lin Feng felt extremely sad, wondering why she was taking all those risks to protect him. Was it because they had made love? Or was it because of Lin Qiongxing? Lin Feng knew that all the holy spirits which appeared around her were not actually real bodies, they were illusions. But each time a body was destroyed, she was injured. However, she didn't stop protecting him. She was ready to die for him. Finally, one Cyan Dragon was left. Lin Feng was a bit relieved. The two cultivators next to him also rose back to their previous positions. The last Cyan Dragon exploded. Those dragons had been released by a Saint Emperor. One dragon was enough to kill Lin Feng. She had lost many spirits to destroy them. At that moment, she fell down from the sky softly. Lin Feng's heart kept twitching. He raced over to her and caught her. It was the first time he saw her face, as her veil had fallen off. When he saw her, it felt like the world was collapsing. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to explode. "No!" Suddenly, Lin Feng's eyes turned gray. He looked crushed, and his heart was shattered into 1,000 pieces. Chapter 2053. Balance. At that moment, Lin Feng understood why she had been willing to bear his child, and why she had done all she could to protect him. All of that was because of one thing: the trees of love. Demon energies kept emerging from his body and pulsing around him. He raised his head and stared at the strong cultivator of the Ji clan. "If I don't die, I'll destroy the Ji clan." His voice contained cursing strength. Even the Saint Emperor of the Ji clan shivered when he heard Lin Feng. If he didn't manage to kill Lin Feng today, someday Lin Feng would become stronger and he would kill them all. However, since Lin Feng said that, the Ji clan was even more motivated to kill him right away. In the sky above the clouds, a saint's energies were everywhere. Fissures appeared in the sky. Someone descended from the sky. When the Saint Emperor of the Ji clan saw that, he started shaking violently. He obviously recognized that person, Shiju Lao Xian. He had killed some of their people in the holy city too. Things didn't look good anymore. At the same time, more snowflakes appeared, and the region turned into an icy region. An old man as white as snow appeared. When the attackers saw him, they were relieved. The saint of the Snow clan had appeared. Shiju Lao Xian had heard how furious Lin Feng was, so he descended from the sky. He felt sad for Lin Feng. The world was cruel. His disciple liked Lin Feng, but Lin Feng already had many women. Lin Feng lowered his head and looked at the woman in his arms, grief welling up in him. He should have known it was her. She had become stronger than he would have ever thought, but in the end she still risked her life for him. Lin Feng was convinced that Yu Yu had never forgotten about him. Maybe his watcher had even been Yu Yu. He hated himself for not having been able to protect her. But why had she refused to show her face? Was it because she had pledged an oath as a watcher? Lin Feng released life strength into her. He was crying, his tears falling onto her face. She didn't move and didn't even look sad. "You will definitely be fine." Lin Feng released even more life strength, which flowed Yu Yu. The gods couldn't abandon her. At the same time, he stamped her soul. You can't die. I want to raise Qiong Xing with you," Lin Feng said gently. Shiju Lao Xian sighed. "Kill him," said someone icily. People were getting nervous again, and oppressive energies rose again. "If anyone dares say that again, I'll kill them," said Shiju Lao Xian calmly, as he downed his bottle. Everybody stopped talking. All the strong cultivators looked at the Snow Clan saint, as he was the only one who could compete with Shiju Lao Xian. "You think you can stop everything alone? There are so many people here." "You're ridiculous," said the Snow Clan's saint calmly. Even if he had to fight against Shiju Lao Xian, he didn't want to give up. Nobody would ever forget the Tianxi dynasty's holy emperor's death. Lin Feng was totally outraged now. Someday, if he became stronger, he'd get his revenge on all of them. They had to kill him. "There's the Holy Spirit dynasty too," said the holy emperor of the Holy Spirit dynasty. "We don't know why there are tensions between the Snow Clan and Lin Feng. Surprisingly, they even sent a saint to deal with him. However, Lin Feng is our holy dynasty prince, and that woman is a holy woman of our dynasty. She's an imperial concubine. We will do all we can to protect them." "And the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan," Yendi added emotionlessly. The Snow Clan's saint looked at those people and said calmly, "That's still not enough. Those people have all come here, whether you agree or not, it won't change anything. You have no way to protect yourself anymore." The Snow Clan's saint didn't care about Tang Yuyu's life. He wasn't Lin Feng, he was a saint. Even people who had king-type bodies didn't necessarily have the potential to become saints. He didn't care about anyone, and he didn't fear anyone either. The only one who could compete with him was Shiju Lao Xian. But even if Shiju Lao Xian helped the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan and the Holy Spirit Dynasty, it still wasn't enough. The Snow Clan didn't fear them. Devamara Culpa strength rolled in waves in the air. Nobody cared though. Lin Feng's energies didn't affect them at all. But at the same time, the two saints gazed into the distance. A group of people was coming. The two saints had noticed that group of people a while before, but now they were just starting to realize that those people had come because of this battle, and none of them looked weak. "With us, that should be enough, right?" called out a loud voice. A group of people arrived to stand by Lin Feng. They looked relieved they weren't too late. There were 4 ancestors from Champion University, and 6 Saint Emperors with them. In total, they were a dozen Saint Emperors. It was a terrifying lineup. In the three main cities of the Dark Knight region, there were universities. They had always remained discreet. There were 8 ancestors in Champion University, and now they were a dozen Saint Emperors. Of course, they couldn't compete with saints. Champion University. The members of the G clan were stupefied. Champion University surprisingly wanted to help Lin Feng. The strongest cultivators of Champion University were there. Apart from Champion University, there were also people from the animal world. Mr. Xiao was there too. With the strong cultivators of the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan and the Holy Spirit Dynasty, it might be enough to deal with everyone there. Lin Feng looked at Mr. Xiao. He was still holding Tang Yuyu. He immediately flew up to Mr. Xiao. Mr. Xiao immediately understood what Lin Feng wanted. Mr. Xiao, save her, said Lin Feng, handing Tang Yuyu over to Mr. Xiao. Leave it to me, said Mr. Xiao, taking Tang Yuyu. He descended from the sky and frowned. Tang Yuyu's injuries were very serious. After understanding Dao's strength, cultivators finally truly became cultivators. Their path was determined. When Lin Feng had seen Qiuyu Xian in the Dao-destroying mountain, he had seen how painful it was. And Tang Yuyu had been attacked severely. Her soul and meridians were injured. If Lin Feng hadn't stamped her soul, she would have been killed. Mr. Xiao took out a pellet and put it into Tang Yuyu's mouth. At the same time, he released a awe-inspiring strength which started flowing throughout her body and healing her. At the same time, Devamara Kulpa's strength descended from the sky onto Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng looked unaffected. He just looked at his enemies around icily. He would remember his friends and enemies forever. For the dynasties of Qi Tian Holy Town, it was their second failure. For the Ji clan, it was the third time. Chapter 2054. Agreement. Nobody had thought things would end up this way. Both sides were terrifyingly powerful. The Snow Clan, for dynasties, some ancient holy clans. Surprisingly, all those people together couldn't oppress Lin Feng. And even 2 saints had appeared. It was unprecedented. However, nobody looked relaxed. They were all on edge. Master, the Snow Clan initiated everything. We did all we could to help you. We can't give up halfway, spoke up a holy emperor. Lin Feng had to die. The dynasties were worried because Lin Feng also controlled a saint's body. The dynasties have gone too far. You're humiliating Champion University, said Ancestor Shi Tian icily. In the distance, some whistling sounds announced the arrival of a few younger people. You're insolent, shouted the holy emperor of the Great Desert Dynasty explosively. Those young people were from the Great Desert Dynasty. Champion University are arrogant bastards, agreed the Holy Jade Princess. Some strong cultivators of Champion University grabbed her. At the same time, the members of the Zhua clan grunted coldly. A young man was there, Zhuqing. We are? So many dynasties have come to attack Lin Feng, our disciple, and now you're insulting us? How shameless! You can try and kill our geniuses, but we can't protect him? If Lin Feng dies today, we'll kill all your young people, declared Ancestor Shi Tian icily. And the Ji clan, and the Pei clan, Ji Chang is a student in Champion University. We never asked anything from him, but he better not do anything dodgy. He's lucky he's a champion. You better draw a clear line between Champion University and the tensions between Lin Feng and the Ji clan, said the Saint Emperor of the Ji clan icily. Ancestor Shi Tian grunted icily. Lin Feng understood that the Ji clan and the Pei clan weren't the only clans which were involved. How noisy! You came and now you're threatening Lin Feng, an emperor. That's beneath you. If Lin Feng dies today, the Celestial Evolution Holy Clan will help Champion University kill you. And the Tianxi dynasty, said the Holy Emperor of the Tianxi dynasty icily. So, we want to kill Lin Feng. Does it mean you'll try and destroy the Snow Clan? Asked the Saint of the Snow Clan indifferently. Everybody was startled. The only one who could stop him was Shiju Lao Xian. If the Snow Clan attacks Lin Feng, the other members of the Snow Clan won't leave today, said Shiju Lao Xian calmly yet grimly. The crowd shivered. Saints could also get angry. The Snow Clan talked as if Shiju Lao Xian wasn't there, and it made him angry. And if great emperors attack Lin Feng, I'll kill them too, Shiju Lao Xian added indifferently. Those who had come to kill Lin Feng all grimaced. Shiju Lao Xian forbade them from attacking Lin Feng. Shiju Lao Xian was angry. The Snow Clan's saint was angry too. He had no choice but to give up, otherwise his people would be killed. I won't necessarily kill him today then, said the Snow Clan's saint to Shiju Lao Xian. He had to give up. Shiju Lao Xian understood what the saint meant. I know you hate him, but no matter what, I'll protect him. If you don't give up, I'll keep him with me, said Shiju Lao Xian calmly. Neither of them flinched. After a long time, the Snow Clan's saint sighed and said, First, he must give us the saint's body. He must also give us our Snow Clan's person. That way, we won't attack him anymore. Lin Feng obtained the saint's body alone. If you want to oppress him and send extremely strong cultivators to deal with him, we won't tolerate that. If Lin Feng gives me the saint's body, will you try to take it from me? Asked Shiju Lao Xian. And regarding the Snow Clan's person, what is that supposed to mean, Lin Feng? She's my wife. She's never been to the Snow Clan. You think you can take my wife away? Spat Lin Feng, icily staring at the saint. Indeed, and if he weren't here, you wouldn't be that lucky, said the saint. Even if Lin Feng was a bit lucky, he couldn't obtain everything he wanted. Lin Feng was speechless. Besides, initially, we sent her abroad for her to become stronger. She has a celestial king-type body, she's Xueling Long, said the saint to Shiju Lao Xian. No wonder, thought Shiju Lao Xian. The celestial being of the Snow Clan was Lin Feng's wife. They were furious at the situation, and it was absolutely normal. Shiju Lao Xian looked at Lin Feng. Maybe Lin Feng needed some time to become stronger. I agree. Since she has the celestial king-type body of the Snow Clan, you can take her, said Shiju Lao Xian. No, refused Lin Feng. Don't worry, said Yan Di to Lin Feng. Little boy, sometimes, you have to make compromises. After all, you're not strong enough, many people can kill you, said Shiju Lao Xian to Lin Feng telepathically. She's my wife and she's pregnant, retorted Lin Feng, his face turning gray. Shiju Lao Xian was stupefied and glanced at the Snow Saint, understanding something. Shiju Lao Xian continued, but you must ensure the child's safety. The child has the Snow Clan's blood too, replied the saint icily. And I have another request, said Shiju Lao Xian. The Snow Saint frowned. Shiju Lao Xian had many requests. Within 20 years, I will take Lin Feng to the Snow Clan. If he can defeat one of the kings of the Snow Clan, you will have to agree to their wedding and you will give Lin Feng's wife back to him, said Shiju Lao Xian. The Snow Clan saint suddenly burst out laughing and said, That is a joke. He's quite talented, but he's only a high-level emperor. He will never be able to defeat one of the kings within 20 years. But if he can, I agree. I will even organize a gigantic wedding ceremony for them. The Snow Clan had 3 kings. The strongest had already reached the top of the Diqi layer and was extremely strong. Within 20 years, he would become even stronger. 20 years weren't enough for Lin Feng to become that strong. If he can't do it, I'll kill him at the Snow Clan, said the Snow Saint icily. Yendi initially thought he'd call the Destiny Shrine if Shiju Lao Xian didn't manage to convince the Snow Clan saint, but for now he remained silent. Even though the challenge would be difficult for Lin Feng, it would also be a good way to become much stronger. It would be beneficial for him. Little boy, don't blame me. You need such challenges. You're too weak, you can't protect your wife. It's painful, but within that short time, you can become stronger. My destiny also depends on yours, according to the diviner, thought Yendi. Lin Feng would have been furious if Yendi had told him that. Shiju Lao Xian looked at Lin Feng and said patiently, You have no choice. Or do you want your wife to die with you? Lin Feng remained silent, his eyes bloodshot. His heart was bleeding. He hated himself for being powerless. He didn't have his life under control. 2 people were calmly talking and deciding his destiny. He needed to reach their level as soon as possible. Since you obtained the saint's body on your own, you can keep it. The Snow Clan doesn't want it anymore, Shiju Lao Xian said indifferently. The Snow Saint looked aloof as he said, I invited all these dynasties, will you come to an agreement with them too? What do you want? Frowned Shiju Lao Xian. Within 20 years, you said he'd fight against one of our kings, but for that he must prove he's able to. Since you forbade great emperors from attacking him, make him fight against the strongest geniuses of the Huangqi layer of the dynasties and holy clans. If he dies, then the agreement is useless. Chapter 2055. Insane, fight against the strongest geniuses of the Huangqi layer from the dynasties and ancient holy clans? Repeated Shiju Lao Xian calmly. He must prove he's strong enough to fight against a strong cultivator of the Snow Clan. If he dies, then it's useless to agree on something like that, said the Snow Clan's saint indifferently. All the members of the dynasties and holy clans were nervous. They had all hoped Lin Feng would die as soon as possible. Lin Feng was a terrifying fighter and very talented. He had killed Wang Jian, but fighting against all the strongest cultivators of the Huangqi layer was different. Some people were even stronger than Wang Jian. Zhuo Qing, for example, had a diamond indestructible king-type body. Lin Feng, what do you think? Shiju Lao Xian asked Lin Feng. I agree, said Lin Feng. His eyes were filled with death intent. He looked like a dead person. He had been cleansed by Devamara Kulpa's strength for the 4th time in front of everybody. His demon chi kept racing throughout his body. He wanted to kill. All right, all the geniuses, come. Little boy, hand Xueling Long over to us. If you die, we won't know where to find her, said the Snow Clan's saint icily. Lin Feng flitted away. So many strong cultivators were there, he couldn't escape anyway. He entered his room and sealed the entrance, so nobody could see how he was going to take Meng Qing out. Meng Qing appeared in front of him and smiled at him. Meng Qing, I am powerless. I can't protect you and Jitian, said Lin Feng, he feeling guilty and extremely sad. He felt so powerless. You silly boy. You should have sent me to them before. If you had died, I would want to die too, said Meng Qing, smiling and caressing Lin Feng's hair, trying to cheer Lin Feng up. She knew that Lin Feng was suffering atrociously. There was hope, but he had to stay alive. When Lin Feng heard her soft and gentle voice, and saw that she was trying to cheer him up, he felt even sadder. But he also felt even more determined. He hated himself, he was a weakling. He was a bit talented, but that was very, very far from being enough. Meng Qing hugged him, letting Lin Feng feel her warmth. When would they meet again? She told him, don't worry. I will take care of our baby. The Snow Clan is my clan too. Don't worry about me. All right, Lin Feng nodded. If anything happened to Meng Qing and their baby, Lin Feng would definitely try to avenge them. He told her grimly, Meng Qing, give me some time and I'll definitely come to pick you up. I'm sure you will. Take care of yourself first. Lin Feng brought Meng Qing out. When the Snow Clan's members saw Meng Qing, they all looked furious. The saint said to Meng Qing calmly, as expected, you're Ling Long from our clan. Unfortunately, that little boy tarnished you. They had sent Ling Long out because of the Destiny Shrine's diviner, trusting him. Initially, they wanted her to come back and get married to a king of their clan. They wanted to see whether Meng Qing would be able to give birth to another king or not. That would have been a 4th one for the clan. Unfortunately, the plan was ruined, and Lin Feng was to blame. All the geniuses of the region seemed to already be in Qitian Holy Town. Some people, like Ji Chang, had been there for a while. The saint of the Snow Clan waved, and an ice world appeared, many battle stages visible through the doorway. Everybody go in. I control this world, nobody can use great imperial weapons or I'll kill them straight away, said the Snow Clan's saint indifferently. Master, can the secret techniques of our clans be used? Asked the Saint Emperor of the Ji clan. Secret techniques are part of a cultivator's own strength, so no problem, said the Snow Clan's saint calmly. Young combatants headed into the world one after another. Lin Feng raised his head and death strength filled the air about him. He also rose up in the air, demon intent raging around him. In the ice world, Lin Feng faced many incredible geniuses. He felt crazed. He knew how terrifying it was to fight against groups of people. Little bastard, look at yourself, thought Yen Di. He knew it was going to be very difficult for Lin Feng, but it was a good experience. This wasn't a fair battle. Lin Feng was talented, but those people were not weaklings. Zhuo Qing, diamond indestructible king-type body. Holy Jade Princess, mysterious powers. Ji Chang, champion. If he used his secret technique, he could have the strength of a great emperor. Prince of the Great Desert Dynasty, Prince of the Tianxi Dynasty, but the Qin Dynasty didn't get involved. And there were the geniuses of the Pei clan and a few ancient holy clans. 8 geniuses, 8 incredible geniuses from the Dark Knight region. Those people all had the potential to become Saint Emperors someday. However, now they were going to fight against Lin Feng. They all wanted to kill him. Zhuo Qing and the others had mixed feelings. They were all geniuses, but 8 geniuses surrounding Lin Feng wasn't anything glorious. They knew it was important, so they had to kill Lin Feng, and so they didn't hesitate. At Zhuo Qing's back, a golden wind appeared, breaking everything on its way as it started moving towards Lin Feng. That attack could easily kill a high-level emperor. Ordinary high-level emperors couldn't withstand a single attack from Zhuo Qing. But Lin Feng wasn't an ordinary cultivator. He punched out, the blow screaming through the air. Lin Feng used pure strength to smash that golden tornado. The Jade Princess turned into an illusion. Lin Feng saw her silhouettes all over the place. They all moved towards him from every direction. Lin Feng jumped and released explosive demon lights. His Culpa strength surged out, but the illusions were extremely powerful. Lin Feng kept rending the 37 images. Ji Chang also attacked, releasing destructive Dao and Cyan dragons to attack, joined by all the other geniuses, one after another. Lin Feng was in a dead end. It looked bad for him. His demon intent dashed to the skies, his blood boiled, and sharp chi emerged. He turned into a gigantic sword and absorbed more strength, his chi filling the air. Energies crashed onto him, but he remained motionless. "He's crazy," whispered the crowd. So many energies were crashing onto Lin Feng's body from all those strong geniuses. However, Lin Feng didn't flinch and confronted them straightforwardly. His sword began to keen. He slowly turned around, and they all stopped. They knew that Lin Feng had killed Prince Yan and Wang Jian using this technique. That sword was oppressive and terrifying. Finally, he moved towards Prince Jin. The Tianxi cultivators were all furious and grimaced. "Bastard!" shouted the Tianxi Holy Emperor. He remembered the giant again, when he had killed the Holy Emperor. He was too scared of this young man, he was going crazy. The sharp sword streaked across the sky. At that moment, Prince Chen's face turned deathly pale. He released all his strength to defend himself. Nobody could rescue him. Since Lin Feng had chosen to kill him first, the others didn't mind. They weren't going to risk their lives to save Prince Chen. The gigantic sword reached Prince Chen and pierced through his body. Everybody shivered as Lin Feng reappeared. He coughed up blood, but his eyes contained a killing will. Chapter 2056, How Tragic, Little Chen, shouted the Tianxi cultivators, their faces horrified and sad. They had lost both Prince Chen and Prince Yan. They had been the most talented young people of their dynasty. Lin Feng had warned the Tianxi dynasty he had even killed their holy emperor. However, they had decided to come anyway. That's why Lin Feng chose to kill Prince Chen first. His ancient holy techniques had sufficed to kill Prince Yan, so of course they were also enough to kill Prince Chen. His chi continued surging around him. Holy spirits appeared and fused together with his body. Holy marks appeared under his feet. At the same time, he released a sharp weapon chi, and also condensed ancient strength. The combined chi began to build up ominously. Those who were attacking Lin Feng were shocked and started trembling. This bastard was crazy. Lin Feng used his ancient holy technique again, and killed another cultivator from an ancient clan. He continued mercilessly. His sword was too sharp, and his oppressive strength was incredible, so they couldn't bring him down. Everybody understood that Lin Feng wasn't just fighting, he was risking his life. Each time he attacked, he was risking his life. He could die at any time. However, it worked, as he had already killed 5 geniuses. The members of the dynasties and ancient holy clans all had twisted expressions. 5 people, Lin Feng had killed 5 people. His clothes were already soaked with blood. He looked like a death god. His gaze turned on Ji Chang. 3 geniuses were left, Zhuo Qing, the Holy Jade Princess, and Ji Chang. It wasn't easy to kill Lin Feng. Likewise, killing those people would be very difficult. Zhuo Qing had a diamond indestructible king-type body. His defense was incredible. Ji Chang had his secret technique, and the Holy Jade Princess seemed to control illusions. At that moment, they were staring at Lin Feng. He was coughing blood and looked totally insane. He didn't care anymore, he was ready to risk his life. "Let's attack together." "He looks tired," said Zhuo Qing. The 3 cultivators' silhouettes flickered and they threw themselves at Lin Feng. Golden lights glittered and shot towards him. A holy spirit sword appeared in front of Lin Feng like a living thing. It started cutting apart the golden lights. "Die!" shouted Zhuo Qing explosively. A golden spear appeared and shot across the sky like a thunderbolt. At the same time, he raised his hand and a golden cauldron appeared and bore down on Lin Feng. The Holy Jade Princess also attacked, inundating him with illusions. However, Lin Feng closed his eyes and merely punched out in her direction, his death intent turning into a tornado. At the same time, his nihility sword moved towards the 3 of them. Ji Chang ran towards Lin Feng. With every step, the ground exploded. Fissures appeared around him, cyan dragons roaring furiously and trying to devour Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng turned into many silhouettes and suddenly withdrew. They didn't know which one was the real one. "Destroy!" shouted Zhuo Qing icily. Golden lights blotted out the sky. They kept destroying Lin Feng's silhouettes one after another. They didn't want to give him a single chance. The holy spirits moved back into Lin Feng's body, and he released sky-absorbing cosmic energies. At the same time, his sharp weapon qi appeared again. Zhuo Qing and the 2 others grit their teeth. Lin Feng was injured and surprisingly he wanted to turn into a sword again. He was definitely crazy. "This time, we'll definitely kill him," said Ji Chang icily. Lin Feng turned into a sword and drove at Ji Chang. "Stop!" shouted Ji Chang, releasing more destructive strength, moved towards the gigantic sword as fast as he could. At his back, cyan dragon totems appeared in a glittering display. Zhuo Qing and the Holy Jade Princess didn't waste time either, attacking the gigantic sword as hard as they could. However, the gigantic sword pierced through all their attacks and continued towards Ji Chang. The gigantic sword whistled furiously. It had to kill Ji Chang. "Arg!" Ji Chang roared with rage. His cyan dragon totems went back into his body and he turned into a cyan dragon. When the gigantic sword and the cyan dragons collided, it felt like time had stopped. Explosions and thunder spread out, and the shockwave burst over everyone. An oppressive strength was pushing against the cyan dragon. "Die!" shouted Zhuo Qing, turning golden. He landed in front of the gigantic sword and golden energies crashed onto the gigantic sword. The gigantic sword vibrated violently, space splitting all around it. The Jade Princess couldn't miss such a good opportunity. She also moved gracefully into position and attacked the gigantic sword as well. The members of the Holy Spirit Dynasty and Champion University were shaking. The combined attacks were terrifying. Could Lin Feng survive? The 3 of them continued chasing the silhouettes they hadn't destroyed. A strong wind appeared around Zhuo Qing, but the silhouettes continued escaping too. The gigantic sword released a boundless strength, bearing down on a cyan dragon and 2 people. On the sword, marks gradually appeared. No, when Meng Qing saw that, her heart twitched. If the sword broke, Lin Feng was going to die. Behind Zhuo Qing, one of Lin Feng's clones suddenly released oppressive energies. He raised his fist and struck at Zhuo Qing's head. "Oh no!" Zhuo Qing's face turned deathly pale. He released even more golden energies to protect himself. He wasn't the only one. The Holy Jade Princess' face also turned deathly pale. She started running away, trying to dodge. However, the gigantic sword released even more pressure. They were frightened as the weight of the world crashed down on them. Lin Feng's goal was their total destruction. his horrifying physical strength crashed down onto the golden body. Demon lights exploded and penetrated into Zhuoqing's brain. Zhuoqing's head trembled at the impact. The Holy Jade Princess sped up. She was being hunted by Lin Feng's clones. She didn't know what to do and started panicking. A death punch appeared. It looked unavoidable, unstoppable. She could barely see it coming. The punch crashed onto her and blood splashed out. A terrifying sword chi sliced through the Cyan Dragon's body. It roared desperately as blood splashed and stained the gigantic sword. The gigantic body fell down from the sky and crashed onto the ground before reverting to Jichong. Sword intent was tearing through his body. Arg! Zhuoqing shouted furiously. He attacked Lin Feng's clone, but the clone went back into the gigantic sword. At the same time, the Holy Jade Princess was going crazy as she ran towards Lin Feng's clone. The gigantic sword struck out at Zhuoqing and the Holy Jade Princess, who were blasted away. They both crashed onto the ground, unable to stand up. The gigantic sword became less dazzling, turning back into Lin Feng again. He fell down from the sky. At that moment, outside of the ice world, everybody remained silent. Nobody had expected this. That was a real battle. Lin Feng had risked his life from the beginning to the end. He was walking on the path of life and death, but he wasn't immortal. The four fighters didn't stand up. Meng Qing was crying. She whispered, "If he dies, I will die too." The saint frowned, and Shiju Lao Xian asked, "Is that enough?" At that moment, everybody looked to the snow saint, who was staring at the ice world. He sighed and said, "If he doesn't die, I hope you can bring him to the Snow Clan in 20 years. He waved his hand. Crackling sounds spread in the air. The ice world disappeared and he said to the others of his clan, "Let's go." Less and less snowflakes fell from the sky as they disappeared in the distance. Meng Qing was still crying. Shiju Lao Xian, the members of the Zhuo clan, and the others all took away their people. Mr. Xiao brought Tang Yuyu to Lin Feng and checked out Lin Feng. He said, "I'll take him back to the tribe." "All right, go," agreed Shiju Lao Xian, waving his hand. A holy strength penetrated into Lin Feng's body to protect him. Mr. Xiao and the members of Champion University left together. Very quickly, everybody had left. Shiju Lao Xian looked at the remaining people icily. Shiju Lao Xian didn't attack them. Lin Feng could solve his problems alone. Shiju Lao Xian hoped Lin Feng wouldn't disappoint him. He wanted to take him to the Snow Clan 20 years from now. That you're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.